Ready to open this meeting of June 26, 2013, Oceanside City Council, Harbor District, CDC. And roll call, please.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Fellis.
Here.
Councilmember Felice.
Here.
Councilmember Sanchez is absent, attending a conference.
Thank you very much. With that, City Attorney.
Thank you. The City Council will be meeting in closed session to discuss labor negotiations involving the Oceanside City Employees Association, the management employees of the City of Oceanside, Oceanside Police Officers Association non-sworn, and the unrepresented. I'll say Western Council of Engineers as well, just in case. We will also meet to discuss item 2 on the agenda, conference with legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Dunex Inc. versus Cavalier Mobile Estates in case number 2010-0006-1745 and 37-2012-00055503.
Adjourn closed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. Some of you haven't been here before. Housekeeping. If you have a phone or a pager, put it on silent or vibrate. We'd appreciate that. And the other one is, we usually break this up in two parts. This first part is usually consent calendar items, and then we go into 5 o'clock for some other issues, and it's more formal. But for right now, roll call, please.
Mayor Wood.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Kern.
Here.
Councilmember Feline. Here. Councilmember Feller.
Here.
And Ms. Sanchez is absent. She's attending a conference.
Thank you very much. With that, I will tell the council members in the audience we have a long agenda tonight, so try to keep it brief and move on. With that, Mr. Clerk, consent calendar, please.
Yes, prior to consent calendar reading through, just want to inform the council that consent calendar item 19 shows the public hearing date as August 7th. That should read as August 21st. And item number 21 has been removed from the agenda by staff.
21 has been removed by staff, and are there any other items from the audience or the
Yes,
council?
item number 26 has been pulled
By
by the
public?
public.
Any others by council? I hear none, so I guess we'll go forward.
Move approval for the balance?
Second.
Second, thank you very much. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you very much. Item number 26, please, Mr. Clerk.
Item number 26 is City Council adoption of resolutions of the City Council acting in its capacity as a legislative body of Community Facilities District, number 1200-1 Ocean Ranch, number 200-1 Morrow Hills, and number 2006-1 Pacific Coast, authorizing the levies of special taxes for fiscal year 2013-2014.
Thank you very much. With that, Speaker.
Ms. Joan Brubaker, you may come forward at this moment in time for 3 minutes.
Good evening, Joan. Afternoon, excuse me.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good to be here. Joan Brubaker, 1606 Hackamore Road, Oceanside. I read this and also looked at the staff report, and because the bonds have been negotiated to a lower interest rate, why is it that you're running over what the budget allotted? Is it that something new has been proposed, incorporated, or needed? Appropriating a higher amount of money costs taxes and out of people's income. And I really would like to know, I'm sure the gentleman who may lecture on this will explain it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
No further public at this time.
Thank you, staff or Mr. City Manager, respond.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Michelle Lunt, Treasury Manager for the City of Oceanside. Actually, we are proposing a reduced levy as opposed to what was in the budget, and we had that outlined in the fiscal impact statement. So those levies were reduced from what was originally budgeted in the 2013-2014 budget that you approved on June 5th. Because the budget is adopted prior to setting the levies and prior to asking for approval through resolution, there is always an adjustment to the levies when we come forward with council. So there is a reduction that you see.
Thank you very much.
Well, I'll clarify, with the exception of Pacific Coast Business Park, because that is an escalating debt service, and we did not refund those bonds.
Thank you. I appreciate it. With that, back to council on a motion.
I'll move approval.
And a second, no further conversation. Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you very much. Mr. Clerk, at your free opportunity, let's move to 27, please.
Item number 27 is authorization to award a contract in the amount of $1,399,980 to Bonsall Petroleum Construction Incorporated of Bonsall for the revised El Corazon Reclamation Plan Grading Improvement Project. Authorization for the city manager to execute the agreement upon receipt of all supporting documents and approval of a budget appropriation in the amount of $1,455,705 from 3 accounts into the Silvertail Reclamation Fund expenditure account.
Thank you, sir. With that, Doug, good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, Doug et al., Real Estate Manager, City of Oceanside. Staff is asking council to award a contract to Bonsall Petroleum, DBA Moody's, who has a reclamation operation going on right now, to do the Alcor Zone Reclamation Plan grading project. This is a requirement for our development and disposition agreement with Sudbury's to move forward with the temporary athletic fields at Alcor Zone. The contract is for $1,455,705, which is broken up into two components, the first being $1,399,000 and some change for the actual grading, and then another $55,000 for some concrete work. The hopes are that, again, we are in a position to grade the project once Sudbury has gone through their due diligence period, which is set to expire August 5th. If they say everything's fine, then we want to award this contract to be in a position to grade shortly thereafter. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. Seat sidebar for the time being, and public.
We have one member of the public wishing to speak on this item. At this moment in time, Larry Berry may come forward to speak to the council.
Larry Berry, about 3973 Brown Street, City of Oceanside. And I remember going through all the negotiations here with people that wanted to, when they were bidding for the contract to put up the hotels. And I remember Peter Weiss saying this thing wasn't going to cost more than $400,000 in grading. At first, it was supposed to be a big thing that they were, this wasn't going to cost us anything. This is how this whole deal was sold to us. So I know all the glitters is not gold when we have these type of products, but all of a sudden it went from 400 to no cost to 400 to 800,000, and now it's over $1,014,000, well, $1.4 million, and I don't know if we're going to get our money back from this or what kind of revenue. How do we negotiate this? Is this just another case of we agreed to this deal and now we got to keep paying out money and they're going to be using us? What's next? The Water Reclamation Act there that we're going to have for the well that's going to be put in there? How much are we going to be tied to this thing that we're going to be ended up paying more and more money for property that we own that we're basically giving away to these people? And they're supposedly going to be building these great hotels and giving us a lot of revenue that we're going to see down the line. Again, this thing started out as, as a win for us, the city of Oceanside. They're going to do all these great things. And now, basically all they're going to do is, throw down some grass seed and have some soccer pitches there. And the city of Oceanside is going to, collect all those revenues. I think we're, again, I feel like Charlie Brown here is the city, we go up to kick the football and Lucy pulls away the ball and we get stuck with another bill. So if this is negotiating, I think we failed at this. I like to see more accountability. I like to see, I sat through all those not the negotiations, but when they pitched this thing to us and told us that this was the best thing in Oceanside and we're going to see they're going to do all this work. They even said they were going to have it by this fall, that we're going to have these fields up and going. Again, I think, I've seen this time and time again in the city of Oceanside where something is supposed to be for free, then it costs a little bit more, and then we're on the tank for a couple $1 million. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kern, please. Deputy Mayor Kern.
I get confused too. Mr. Etta, can you tell us what the source of the money is on this one?
Honorable Mayor, Deputy Mayor Kern, there's approximately $1.1 million that's set aside in the Silica Reclamation Reserve that is used just for the purposes of reclaiming the site from the former mine site. The grading operation basically consists of reclaiming 100 acres of that site to make it safe and stable, and we just accelerated that expenditure of money for that use.
Well, where did that money originally come from?
That money originally came from the developer or the mine operator. We held it in trust or held it on behalf of the state of California to put back into the mining operation, plus additional dollars are generated through revenue from the reclamation project for construction, demolition, placement there, as well as other types of use of that site.
So this really is no cost to the city because a lot of this money was put in by the Ottawa Silica Sand Company when they gave us the the property and reclamation money to recover the property?
It's not general fund dollars.
It's not general fund dollars, well, to do that. So, I'm going to move approval for this to move forward.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Councilman Petrello, please.
Thank you. I have a newspaper article up there in my office that says in 1994 this was a white elephant by a former councilwoman, Melba Bishop, and I've looked at it as a great opportunity as we go forward. I've never sat up here in my over 12 years and thought we'd get anything for nothing. There's never been something for nothing, and I believe that. But in this case, we've got this grading pretty much paid for by the donation by the silica sand. So we have a great opportunity here to generate something new in the middle of our city, and we've got a couple of hotels that are pretty excited about seeing this come, and I think others will be. So, you know, I understand where you're coming from, Larry. I just this is not something for nothing, but it's a little cheaper than we thought it would be, and you know, we could have gotten rid of this land years ago, probably for several $1 million, if we just wanted to get rid of it. But you know, I think we're going to make something special out there ultimately. So that's where I stand on it. Thank you.
Councilmember Floine.
Thank you, Mayor. Just two questions. One, I recall hearing when we've discussed other deals that when a price is negotiated on a property, it assumes the seller is going to provide the property with an expected level of grading. Is that in play here, and us just meeting that requirement in terms of our negotiation with Sudbury?
Honorable Mayor, Councilmember Feline, oftentimes when you do a real estate transaction, what the ultimate payment is by the buyer is predicated on what the seller does to the property, so a lot of times they do prepare the site with a graded pad versus just giving it to them as is.
So, and you know, maybe my memory's off here, but my recollection is from start to finish, the city has put on the table the idea we would grade this property to a certain level, and that would be part of the package that we were offering.
Yes, you are correct. We have not changed that.
Then the issue that Mr. Berry brings up, has the cost of that grading been creeping up over the years, or are we pretty much where we expected? You know, his memory may be better than mine, and I don't recall where the original estimates were. He mentioned 400,000. You know, I don't know if that's accurate or not, but where do you believe we've been over the years? Have we always been looking at, you know, roughly this amount?
The cost of grading has gone up since we initially looked at it because of the condition of the soils out there. Again, it's a former mining operation. We were hopeful that we can, in essence, balance the site, take some off of one area, put it on the other area, but we could not do that because the area we were going to take the dirt off proved to be too soft. So we had to, in essence, put dirt on top of that dirt in order to stabilize the whole area. We would have to done that in order to move forward, to make that site useful, in order, in essence, to make the site safe and stable.
And, I mean, and was that known when we were doing the negotiation with Sudbury, or is this kind of a surprise, you know? By surprise, I mean, within the last 2 years, or is it something we've realized prior to, say, 2 years ago when we put out the RFP and all that?
No, when we initially started, we did not anticipate that kind of, again, magnitude of bad dirt in an area until you go out there and actually start designing this site and testing the dirt.
So is Mr. Berry possibly right that the original thoughts for the cost were 400,000, and we've crept up to this amount based on, you know, sometimes you find out bad news, and you know, the soil turned out to be far worse than what was expected?
I never use the number 400,000.
I don't know where that comes from. so
I felt it was going to be below $1 million, but it's in excess of that.
Okay, so basically the difference between the current price and $1 million roughly would be the cost of the soil surprise, if you will?
It's basically moving an additional 400,000 yards of dirt at about $1 a yard.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. A couple of things I have missed. I'm happy that this project is going forward for the city of Oceanside, no doubt about it. I think over the years there's been different changes about what's going to go out there, how it's going to be funded, etc. But I somewhat agree that I remember when this was down to two people, Sudbury or Sterling. Sterling came forward and said that some of the cost involved in Sudbury's plan was really not accounted for, such as the grading, and that the city of Oceanside would have to do the grading. So even I understand and remember that too. So whatever it is, we're at this point. I wanted to go forward. I agree with Mr. Berry and other people that said that in the past some of this was not explained accurately and there'd be no cost. With that, I even switched from Sterling to Sudbury just to get this thing going. And I still feel that way. And it's money that we got from an account from the sale of the property from Silica Sands, so it's not much, if any, out of our pocket, so I'm going to go forward with it too. But I think that people who are around here a long time, from the beginning till now, would probably say the same thing, because we were told different things over the years. Whatever they may be, we're here now. So with that, thank you for that information from the public. And with that, the grading processes are going to be started soon, or how long, or you know?
Honorable Mayor, what the city has to do is wait for Sudbury to perform their due diligence. They have until August 5th to do that. So under the assumption that everything looks fine at that point in time, we can then start grading shortly thereafter, which is in August of 2013.
Thank you very much. With that, please vote.
Motion approved 4-0.
Thank you very much. Next item, please.
Item number 28 is approval to reject the loan proposal received for the parking management request for proposals and continue to provide these services by city staff.
Thank you very much. It's still good afternoon, I guess, so how you doing?
Good afternoon, Honorable Mayor and council members. In an effort to identify potential cost savings and reduce the budget through outsourcing, staff solicited proposals from qualified private companies in April to perform parking management services. These services are currently performed by city staff consisting of a supervisor, 10 full-time employees, and 2 seasonal employees, and include providing parking enforcement, street meter and pay machine maintenance, parking lot maintenance, and revenue collection. The program is funded by the Solid Waste Disposal Enterprise Fund and the General Fund. Staff only received one proposal and conducted an interview with the proposer, Ace Parking. In-house costs were then compared to contractor costs to see if outsourcing was cost-effective, and found it more cost-effective to continue to perform these services with city staff. If you look at the slide that I put up there, these are the first-year costs for city staff, and they come up to just under $826,000. The first-year costs for the contractor, Ace Parking, and they come up to just under $937,000. And the cost at the bottom are costs that will remain even if the services were to be outsourced. And this slide shows the contractor costs for 5 years. It was a 5-year contract that we were looking at. So it has their first-year costs all the way to their 5th-year costs, and the 5-year total, which is just under $5 million. The contractor applied a CPI of roughly 3% a year to their costs. And then the bottom chart shows the city staff costs for year 1 versus Ace Parking for year 1. There's a difference of about $111,000, so the contractor is $111,000 more than we are. And the comparison for year 5, the contractor is about $153,000 more than city staff. City staff's costs will increase over a 5-year period primarily due to health care and retirement costs, with no increase in salaries for the foreseeable future. Based on information from CalPERS, the city's miscellaneous employee PERS rate will increase 3.5% over the next 5 years, and staff is projecting a possible 50% increase in health insurance costs. In addition to the cost comparisons, there is a concern whether a private company could provide the same level of service to city staff. Ace Parking primarily provides parking services such as garage management, valet services, and ground transportation at airports and commercial properties. It appears they have very limited parking enforcement experience working for municipalities, although they do currently provide services to the city of Chula Vista on a limited scale. The service being requested by the city of Oceanside is much different, as Oceanside's parking enforcement program is citywide and comprehensive, whereas Chula Vista's program is focused only in the downtown area enforcing meters and pay machines. Current city staff is well-trained, efficient, and a professional group of employees who provide a good service to the community at a good value. Parking officers provide much more to the community than simply writing tickets, such as providing assistance to citizens by offering parking options, giving directions, providing information about the city, and reporting work orders. By the nature of the work, parking enforcement is a difficult job and complaints are given, as receiving a citation is never a positive experience. Overall, management receives very few complaints from our patrons. Parking officers are trained to be polite and respectful and work with patrons, as well as issue warnings and provide leniency when appropriate. Parking enforcement should strike a balance, as always trying to achieve compliance without being heavy-handed. Outsourcing could disrupt this balance the community has come to expect, and reversing direction after outsourcing to bring the program back in-house would be difficult to reestablish. Staff recommends that the City Council approve the rejection of the loan proposal received for the parking management RFP and continue to provide the services with city staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a seat at the sidebar where we continue. Mr. Clerk, is there public on this?
Yes, we have 2 members of the public wishing to speak on this item. First, we have Don Salazar. Second, we have Larry Berry. And they come forward to speak for 3 minutes.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Honorable Mayor, council members, I'm here my name is Don Salazar, representing OCA. We have our staff here, our members. You see 4 things plus the family here, and we're here to support the rejection of the proposal that Kyle's brought forward in this thing. And thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Larry Bear. I live on 3973 Brown Street, City of Oceanside. Yeah, this looks like a good deal to go with the city staff on this, on the proposal and stuff. But I have problems with I recognize some of these guys here. Unfortunately, I've had the opportunity to meet them, but let's just say that these people are revenue enhancers for the city, and I understand that. And I think that I try to get the city staff, and I've talked to again, Mr. Peter Weiss with code enforcement. When we have certain families in our neighborhood where people are parking their cars on the lawn, and there's 5 families living in a single-family house, and I have addressed this, and I've tried to get code enforcement out there, and unfortunately, they won't come around during after hours when these people are home, when they park on their lawns and stuff like that. But what they come around, they only work 7:30 to 4 o'clock, they told me. Yet parking enforcement comes out at 5:30 on a Sunday morning to go down the cul-de-sac and give people that are 18 inches over their over the sidewalk or 16 inches away from the curb and stuff. So again, I know this is nobody likes getting a ticket. I will say this, I own a property down here at the beach, and I got a ticket when they changed over from the summer schedule in the $1 lot, which is now the $2 lot, and they switch it over to the winter time, and instead of being 10 o'clock, it's 8 o'clock, and I have gotten a ticket there. And I will tell you, very respectfully, I've called and I wrote a letter and to the when you're tendering a ticket, and they actually forgave it. So, and they call it a one-time allocation or something. I don't know if I let out the goose out of the bag here or something, but and I guess it is a law that if you complain loud enough, and I've heard this from other people who come to Oceanside from Escondido and got parking tickets, and if you complain loud enough, they will give you a variance and let that go free. So, thank you.
Thank you.
No more public at this time.
Thank you. Back to council. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. I think we are trying to be a kinder, gentler city. If Larry Berry gets his ticket forgiven, that's as good as it gets, unless you're a bad guy. I think outsourcing has its place. We aren't at the place that we, if you can't afford to do business, then that's what you're aiming at when you try to outsource. So I agree wholeheartedly with staff, so I move staff's recommendation.
I second that. Thank you very much. Councilman Kern, please.
Thank you. I just had one quick question on the evaluations. Was that third-party evaluations, or was that just done by city staff, evaluating the contract?
By city staff.
Okay. I'm going to go along with the proposal here, but I think from now on, when we go out to discuss outsourcing, there should be some third-party evaluations of these particular items. I know staff has a vested interest in. Kyle, you want to jump in here? Because I see you're kind of jumping around here. Go ahead.
Thank you. One thing that we've done with all the outsourcing proposals is we've shared our costs with the contractors. So we really try to be transparent about it and we show them everything we have and let them, ask questions, or if they didn't agree with something or didn't understand something. So I just wanted to make.
Okay. So there was, that was my only concern, that there wasn't an opportunity to have it like a third party, or even, well, now since it was just one contractor, to have them discuss what was happening. And I see the city manager is jumping around in his seat too.
And I would say just on Kyle's, all of the information that you had before you got it, it was shared with Ace Parking for any issues, concerns, comments. They reviewed the numbers. They saw essentially what you're seeing now, and they indicated that they saw that they weren't able to compete. So if there was something that was missing, Ace Parking certainly has had the opportunity and the reason to identify any issues or concerns, and they chose to not. So as Kyle mentioned, we provide any of the bidders, we provide them the opportunity to review all the numbers.
Even if they were, philosophically, even if they came in lower than city staff, I have a real problem going with a single bidder contract. I would like to see, competitive bidding. So just having a one bidder thing kind of gives me pause anyway. So, so I will support Councilmember Feller's motion.
Councilmember Flynn, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I guess I will be the skunk at the garden party here. The issue I have, as it always is the correct accounting for pensions. And my first question is, how does one have a negative unfunded pension liability when our current CalPERS reports show we have a $471 million termination liability, some of which I assume is accountable to the staff here?
I'd like to defer to the city manager on this. Honorable Mayor, council members, partially the unfunded pension liability continues to accrue whether or not you outsource this. So although it's deducted from the budgeted amount, it's actually included in the cost analysis. And that number plus the PERS rates that include a portion of the unfunded liability are in the personnel costs where it says fully burdened rate. So approximately 10% of the total PERS cost is part of the unfunded liability added back into the fully burdened rate, and the portion that's attributed to being an ongoing cost to the city because of the people who are already here or in the process in the retirement system already, that portion has been reduced because that's not a budgeted cost, it's an actual contractual obligation to PERS, so it's not a budgeted number. But what we pay to PERS on an annual basis for their portion of the unfunded liability is in the fully burdened rate portion.
Right, but, once again, that's the fully burned-in rate at the dishonest rate of 7.5% that no outside authority thinks anyone's ever going to get, as opposed to the 3.9% CalPERS itself uses when you buy out of their system, correct?
That's correct.
Correct. Yeah, and, the issue, once again, is that, when you allocate the $471 million of termination liability, you don't get, anywhere close to where the current CalPERS charges even come close to covering that future liability. And of course, we start seeing California cities lining up to go into bankruptcy because they use this, just politely call inaccurate accounting for pensions. And, the other thing that we keep missing on this is when you outsource, yes, you don't get rid of the unfunded liability that was accrued in the past. You're stuck with that, but you certainly stop accruing unfunded liability for the future. Is that not true?
Honorable Mayor, council members, up until recently that was true, but with what PERS put out this past June, they've indicated that the significant increases in their rates over the next 5 to 10 years is going to take into account funding the future unfunded liability. So at I believe it's year 10, where our rates are projected to go up fairly significantly, those rates will stay in place for approximately over a 30-year period to make up that unfunded liability. So collectively, not just for miscellaneous, but for miscellaneous and public safety, I believe our PERS rates in year 7 will be up approximately $7 million a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And now, just using the calculations I use, which are admittedly rough, but here we have a cash spread of roughly $100,000 in favor of the city, and even using my calculations for how I would calculate the unfunded liability, that would not make up the $100,000 difference. So plus cash today is certainly worth more than cash tomorrow and the ability to have it, so that would have to be weighed in too, even if the figures were close. So in this case, I think the conclusion's correct, but I will express my objection with the road that we used to get there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Please vote.
Mayor, who's out revenue enhancing? They look to be all in here. I'm just kidding.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you very much. With that, 29, sir.
Item number 29 is adoption of resolutions authorizing the issuance of water revenue refunding bonds, Series 2013A, by the Oceanside Public Financing Authority in an amount not to exceed $23 million, and authorizing the execution of certain documents and directing certain actions in connection therewith.
Michelle, thank you, and thank you. We can get the attorney this year on the clock early.
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm here tonight seeking your approval to issue up to $23 million in water revenue and refunding bonds. The proceeds from the sale of bonds will be used to refinance two outstanding bond issues, the 1998 water revenue bonds and the 2003 water system certificates of participation. And also, the proceeds will provide $11.7 million to fund 4 capital improvement projects in the Water Department. The refinancing of both the 1998 revenue bonds and the 2003 COPs would provide approximately $143,000 in savings on an annual basis. This differs significantly from the savings figures provided in the staff report that you have in front of you. As you know, bond interest rates have increased over the past 2 weeks due to the Fed's confirmation that they will begin to reduce their open market securities purchases if the economy continues to show improvement. The municipal market was hit pretty hard, not only with the increase in rates, but also significant widening of yield spreads on the longer end of the curve. If we were to go into market today, the all-in interest rate of the bonds would be approximately 4.15% as compared to the 3.55% 2 weeks ago when we wrote the report. Despite the increase in interest rates, it still provides savings greater than the 3% net present value savings threshold that we use to refinance, or as a trigger to refinance bonds. The city did request a rating from Standard & Poor's last week and is waiting to hear the results of that request. The current assumed rating on the water bond, on the water bonds that we have is a AA minus. If we receive a single rate bump to AA, we would expect that the interest rate on the bonds to drop by approximately 20 basis points. The city is also taking advantage this time when we refinance the bonds to fund capital improvement needs for the water department. The four water capital improvement projects to be funded include improvements to the city's water reservoirs, construction of the Mission Basin Groundwater Purification Facility Operations Building, the Ocean Hills Recycled Water Project, and the replacement of the supervisory control and data acquisition system for both treatment plants and all the water reservoirs and regulating stations. The projects were approved as part of the CIP budget that was approved on June 5th. Water Utilities Director? Carrie? Carrie Dale can provide any specifics on the project funding that you may have. Following your approval, we anticipate the pricing of bonds in mid-July and closing by the first week of August. That concludes my report, and if you have any questions, I have our financing team, Brian Forbath, bond counsel, Sarah Brown from Stiefel Nicholas, and Carrie Dale.
Thank you, Michelle. Take a seat, sidebar. And is there public on this one?
One member of the public wishes to speak on this item. Jimmy Knott, you may come forward at this time.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane, representing the Utilities Commission Budget Committee, Vice Chairman. Yes, we took and reviewed this, and we had a few questions. Those were resolved. We saw the benefit of this recommendation, and we brought it before you, and you have it before you and with the recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you. Back to the council. I see no lights. If there, excuse me. Okay, Councilmember Flynn.
Quick question, Mr. Treasurer, we'll give you the limelight here for a moment. But what rate were we originally going from, and what are we going to now? Because I missed the change from the staff report to the current market rate.
Michelle, you had the spread there between the original quote and the current quote. Was it about 60 pips?
Yeah, it was about 60 basis points drop in the last 2 weeks.
Wow, yeah, it's been quite a roller coaster. What is the rate of the bonds we're refinancing?
What is the rate on the current rate? Actually, we're asking for a new rating. The bonds that we refinanced in prior years, they had an enhanced rating by insurers, so that carried a AAA rating. So we didn't have an underlying rating on the bonds, so in essence, these are new ratings on the bonds. So it's...
So the interest rate, not the credit rating.
Oh, not the credit rating?
Interest rate. And where are we going from and going to?
Okay, I'm sorry. We're going from 3 1/8 to 5%. That's where they were.
At 5%?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, you know, I mean, even with the disappointment in the credit market, we're still making significant savings on our spread, so that's good news for the city.
Yes.
Councilmember Feller?
Thank you. Is it possible to get better than a AA rating? I mean, are we... you said you were expecting...
we went before the rating agencies. Currently, the sewer credit rating is a AA. We expect to get at least a AA rating on bonds. That would be, especially since the sewer credit rating is a AA. It's going to committee tomorrow with Standard & Poor's, so hopefully we will hear the results tomorrow. So it is a possibility that we could get a better than, like a AA plus. But we're conservative on that.
Why aren't we AAA?
I don't know if Sarah can have an answer for that.
Brian Forbath, bond counsel, and Ms. Brown could help too, but you're not big enough, really, is part of it. Not big enough, and also Sarah, you want to chime in on?
Yeah. Hi, Council. I'm Sarah Brown from Stiefel Nicholas. I've been working with Carrie and Michelle on the rating process, and you're asking a very good question. You should be asking yourselves, why, for every type of credit, why can't you get a better rating? As Michelle was describing, the these bonds that are being refunded are not currently rated, so we're a little bit, we're always trying to guess how the rating agencies will evaluate the credit. Your coverage is extremely strong. Your diligence in looking at your capital improvement program and scheduling in rate increases that allow for you to preserve the asset that you have that's valued at over $700 million, and also plan for future growth and needs of the enterprise is phenomenal. Not everybody does it, even in especially in today's environment where it feels like the economy, although improving, is you're constantly asking for rate increases, and your diligence in being able to do that is phenomenal. The one thing that will always, at least in the foreseeable future, be a little bit of a negative on your system is your reliance on imported water versus local sources, and the type of capital improvement program that you've established is meant to increase your own local sources, which make you a little more able to control your own destiny rather than always playing catch up to what the San Diego County Water Authority has in store for you, and for them it's Met Water. So I'm hoping for a AA plus, which there are AAAs. You don't see those for a system your size, as Brian was mentioning. I'd love to see a AA plus. That would be a very exciting call to Michelle and Carrie, who've done a lot of work on this. I think more likely it's at this point, with such a large capital improvement program, they're going to want to see another year or two of you building those capital improvements and seeing how the system reacts to that before they provide that upgrade. But the sewers rating was AA minus. Here we're looking for a AA, and then the next step up would be a AA plus, and then finally a AAA. I think it's achievable. I'm just not sure it's achievable right now.
Well, you better get busy. I move staff's recommendation.
Second on that?
I'll second.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you, Michelle. Number 30, please, when you get a moment.
Item number 30 is authorization to award a contract in an amount not to exceed $3,066,016 to SC Valley Engineering Incorporated of El Cajon for construction of the Myers Tate Street Sewer Line Replacement Project. Approval of professional services agreement with Infrastructure Engineering Corporation of Oceanside in an amount not to exceed $647,848 for construction management, inspection services, and engineering support services during construction related to the project, and authorization for the city manager to execute the agreements.
Hi, Carrie.
Hi, good evening. Well, speaking of infrastructure, this presentation is going to focus on the Myers Tate Sewer Line, which is both being proposed to rehabilitate and renew existing infrastructure, but also to accommodate new growth that's occurring in the downtown area. And I'd like to introduce Jason Dafford, who's our Water Utilities Division Manager, who will be providing the report this evening, and I'll be available for questions, as will Jason.
Thank you. Jason, how you doing?
Honorable Mayor and council members, we're here tonight to recommend award of our Myers Tate Street Sewer Project. This project is located in our Las Salinas service area, which is downtown, down by the Buccaneer Beach area. More specifically, here in red, you'll see the streets that we are proposing the project on, improvements on Myers Street and Tate Street between Wisconsin and Oceanside Boulevard, and then on into the wastewater treatment plant. The project is designed to increase capacity in the downtown area to accommodate new development, such as our Spring Hill Suites project that's currently underway. The project will upsize and replace about 4,292 linear foot of pipe on Tate Street.
The project will also rehabilitate 2,090 lineal feet of pipe on Myers Street, and that's by cured-in-place pipelining. At the end of the project, we will also do a overlay, asphalt overlay in the area that the pipe was constructed. The department at this time has done some public outreach in the area. It's a very dense area, a lot of summer homes, and so we took advantage of some early planning to reach out to the community, and we've done that with some door hangers. We've done it with mailings. As you can see here, we sent out a mailer for a community meeting that was held. We also have put together a telephone hotline that people can call in and get information or request information on the project. We've also, as I said, we put together a community meeting in February of this year where we met, we set up a tent, we met with community people that were interested in talking about the project. One of the things that we've done to help with the project is we're going to restrict our noise as much as possible during construction so we can limit the amount of impact to the local community. One of the most difficult things that we're working on and continue to work on is our residential parking that will be impacted in the traffic control in the area. Once we award the project, then we can request a schedule from the contractor. Once we receive that schedule, then we're able to put together and determine what the impacts are during construction. We have been and will continue to work with Public Works Department and the Traffic Department on the traffic control plan and parking that will be impacted. As I said, once we get our schedule from the contractor, then we'll continue to work with the North County Transit District, Unified School District, Oceanside Unified School District, Police and Fire Department, Waste Management, and also the Postal Service, as they will all be impacted during construction. We are, in an attempt to reduce our impacts, we're limiting our construction area to about 400 feet. That will keep the construction area confined and the impact to residents as minimal as possible. We will be setting up detour routes and getting them approved through the traffic department, and there's enough cross streets in the area that I think our detours will be set up very well, and traffic will flow fairly well through the area. And I'll be at the sidebar if any questions.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Mr. Jimmy Nami, come forward at this time.
Mayor, council members, Jim Knott, 127 Sherry Lane, representing the Utilities Commission. We heard this item before the commission, and we provided suggestions to staff. Staff followed through with those, and we endorsed this recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you.
No further public at this time.
Thank you. Come to the council. Councilman, Deputy Mayor Kern. Can't get it right.
As soon as you get used to saying it'll be over. So then you'll be, I think, Esther will be next year. So, questions. One, and I think it has to do more with timing than anything else. Obviously, you're talking about an area that's very tourist dependent. You know, that area down there and traffic we have in the summertime. So, I guess question one, is this really critical to do, or is it can be delayed at a point in time where it doesn't impact the summer tourist season? I guess that's the big question.
Yes, it is a critical project. Our timing, though, is based on the fact that we anticipate construction, or we're going to, because the first 3 months of the project are submittals and permitting, that the construction won't begin until after this summer in the busy season. That's how we anticipated and why we brought it forth at this time. So that way, and it's a long project, it's going to take a while, so we anticipate that it's going to only impact one summer season, at worst case scenario, which would be next year, 2014.
Okay, just when Spring Hill Suites opens, then we're going to have issues on Myers Street. So,
And and the Springhouse Suites is one of the reasons why this project needs to be completed, because of the capacity within the existing pipelines need to be upsized in order to accommodate, that development.
Director Dale, looks like you want to say something.
I was going to mention that this was one of the projects that was deferred, so it's been on the capital improvement project list for a while and has come forward since the rate increases have been approved by council. And that's why it's urgent that we get it done, because it is helping to accommodate the additional growth in the downtown area.
And I appreciate, we really do need to get it done. Unfortunately, where it's at and our summer timing is always critical. It doesn't seem like there's ever, the perfect time. But hopefully we can hold the impacts to a minimum as we go through that and control it with phasing and probably getting with the police department, the traffic plan, and to minimize the impacts on the general public and the tourists down there. So anyway, with that, I will move approval.
Second.
We do have a second. Thank you. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. What is the timing on the project?
We are allowing the contractor 2 years to construct it completely. Normally that involves, like I said earlier, 3 months in the beginning of permitting and paperwork, and then also at the end of the project about the same, so about 3 months. So the construction is about 18 months in the field. In preliminary talks with the contractor, he thinks that is a little bit more than what he will take to complete the project, but until we see a schedule in hand, I really will give them the full 2 years, at this time.
And we have a parking lot we're working on going south, I think, from Wisconsin to Oceanside Boulevard.
That's correct. I believe it's number 27. That is almost complete. I think they need to put in the pay units, yeah. And I think that we're in talks, currently in talks with Public Works and utilizing that parking lot if necessary for the residents to park in.
Well, I just want to make sure. I saw a head shaking back there. So, Mr. Weiss, could you?
There's a separate project, which is the extension of the coastal rail, which is going to go south from Wisconsin Street.
But it's what I'm getting at, is it going to be in time for these people to start parking out there?
No, I think what Jason mentioned is the existing lot that's already done, we are going to let them use that to park in as well.
Oh, okay. And at the end of it all, the 2 streets get a brand new look?
That's correct. We're going to overlay the entire street from curb to curb when we're done.
You might also let UPS and FedEx know.
We will. Thank you.
Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you. When this project is complete, it'll be able to handle the full capacity of downtown when it's fully developed as we envision it?
That is correct.
Okay, and then I guess I don't know if it's best for the city manager or Carrie, but the issue of which portion is paid by the public versus which portion is paid by future developers, since of course the development is going to come in the future with the development impact fees will come in the future, but I'm assuming having to cut a check now or in the near future. How is that float being funded, if you will?
There's a portion of the project that's being paid for existing users, and that's part of the refurbishment or a portion of the pipe that they're already bought into, and then a portion is being paid for by development as part of their development impact fees. And we have a portion set aside, but a portion will be also recouped in the future for future buy-in.
Okay, great. Thank you.
My only questions and comments is, number one, I know you planned this not to hit the summer and just get the paperwork done, and after summer you'll get going. I appreciate that. And the other one is, I certainly want you to move forward, because the fines we can get for a broken sewer line certainly outrate this. We can get millions of dollars of fines, so I'm glad you're going forward with it. Other than that, let's please vote.
Motion approved 4-0.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 10-minute break, and we'll be back in here. If you haven't been here before, outside, upstairs, water, and restrooms. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Couple of housekeeping items. If you have a cell phone or a pager, put it on vibrate or silent. We'd appreciate it. I have a special evening tonight. This is the second phase of the council meeting. We'll go through certain things, but I'm very proud of some of the presentations we have tonight. It might take a little longer than normal, but we had one surprise one show up. A national champions from Oceanside. We'll get to that in a few minutes. With that, Valerie, can we start this off with the invocation? And
Yes, if you'd all please stand at this time for the invocation and for the Pledge of Allegiance. The invocation tonight will be led by our city clerk, Zach Beck, who is also the youth pastor for Gateway Community Church.
Let us pray. Lord, we come before you to thank you for this day, for this year, for the privilege and opportunity that we have to live in a wonderful city and an amazing country. We thank you for your provision and guidance over the 125 years of our city, and we ask for your continued guidance, wisdom, and discernment in the next 125 years that you have for us and beyond. Lord, we ask that this meeting would honor you, reflect your love, your kindness, and your glory, and we ask that we would just have your wisdom, your guidance, your discernment in the times that we have tonight to discuss issues that are pressing to our constituents. We praise you in your name. Amen.
And tonight we have a very special group who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we'd like to call them forward in honor of the National Parks and Rec Month. With us we have Eileen Turk, who is our manager of our city's Parks and Recreation Division, and with her, Norman Lee, our recreational leader from Joe Balderrama Recreation Center Day Camp. And some of the children from that day camp, we would call forward Selena Arredondo, Joanna Elena, Jessica Rodriguez, Ricardo Ruiz Jr., and Natalie Morales.
Now put your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which is to stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
get a picture. Come out, get a little tighter. Turn a little side. Some of us are a little heavier on it. Yes, be seated. Thank you. Stay up here.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. Norman, if you'd be kind enough to hold that. We just want to remind everybody that July is National Park and Recreation Month, so come on out and sign up for all the programs and activities that we have planned for you this summer. Go to the website, www.oceansiderec.com. And these are some of our day campers from Joe Balderrama Recreation Center, and they were just swimming for a couple of hours over at Brook Street Pool, and then ran over to help us out with the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. So we have a surf camp, other day camps, sports camps. If your kids are bored, this is the place to come, oceansiderec.com. This upcoming week, everybody, is a very, very exciting time for Oceanside with the 125th anniversary coming up, and tonight there'll be many presentations and reminders, but please get out your pen and paper and write everything down so you don't miss any of these events. Just quickly, and please again go to the website if you do lose track. This Saturday is the parade. We'll have more information on that, but 10 a.m. down Coast Highway. At 5 p.m. down at the Junior Sal Pier Amphitheater, we're going to have musical entertainment by the Marine Corps Band and the Harmonette starting at 5 p.m. When the sun sets at 8 o'clock, we're showing the movie Bring It On. Both events are free and open to the public and sponsored by the Friends of Oceanside Parks. So please come on down. Then, next Wednesday, please come to our Civic Center Plaza right out in front of the library and the fountains for a beautiful ceremony and celebration for our 125th day anniversary. The music's going to start at 10:30, so come early for parking. If you can take the Sprinter and walk over, that's great too. We're expecting a big crowd. The ceremony will officially start at 11 a.m., run about an hour. And for those of you who are hungry, we're going to have about 1,125 cupcakes that Tri-City Hospital's baking for us. So it's really going to be a fun event. Please come on out to our Civic Center Plaza. Tell your family and friends. That evening, July 3rd, fireworks in Oceanside. Again, that's Wednesday, July 3rd. We'll be closing down Rancho Del Oro Road from 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. We're going to have food trucks, and Oceanside High School and El Camino High School bands are going to combine for a great performance starting about 8 o'clock. Please park in the corporate center, the business park, and walk over. Also, the Sprinter will be running late that night. The last Sprinter to leave the Rancho Del Oro station will be 10:10 p.m. So Wednesday, July 3rd, we hope to see you down here at City Hall, 11 a.m., and then the evening, please bring your family and friends. Thank you very much, and get out there and enjoy your parks and recreation programs and facilities here in Oceanside. Thank you, Mayor Wood and City Council. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is the 125th anniversary. We're a very old city, and I want to explain to everybody, I keep getting asked, was I the first mayor? I look like it, but the answer is no, I was second one. Anyhow, the rest of them, let's hear it for this wonderful group. Thank you.
Next presentation, we're going to receive a quick update on the 4th of July activities that will be happening downtown by Kathy Nichol and her wonderful volunteers from Main Street Ocean.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kathy Nichol. I'm with Main Street Oceanside. And thank you for having me tonight. All of these individuals with me are volunteers. We have 75 volunteers that help us out every year for Independence Week. So they're going to give all the information on the posters, and I'm going to read from my script because I forget everything.
You wrote it.
I know I did. Hold on just a second. So on June 29th starts Independence Week. And we have at 10 a.m. the Oceanside Independence Day Parade. For those of you who don't know, it was started back in 1898, so that's a long-time tradition, one that we hope will never, ever go away. Not as long as I'm in charge of the parade, right, Terrence?
Right. I'm back.
10 a.m. on Coast Highway. We want to thank a couple really big sponsors, Tri-City, Mosin, Mossy is our KOCT sponsor, so you can watch it on KOCT Day of Parade and throughout the year. We also have 75 volunteers, SNR Towing alone, and all of our other tow companies in Oceanside. SNR has 9 flatbeds that they're donating to floats this year. So that's a lot of floats just from SNR, including about 10 other ones. We have 4 marching bands, a fife and drum, scouts, 8 vet groups, vintage cars. The Mechanized Museum will be there, and we also want to thank H&M for our t-shirts. So that's 10 a.m., red, white, and blue. Bring your beach chair from Wisconsin all the way to Civic Center. That information is on our website, oceansideparade.com. That's June 29th at the beginning of the day, and it hasn't ended. Then Grace Chapel will do an encounter event down at Seagaze Park from 11 to 2, both Saturday and Sunday. And then Terrence has a football game with the North County Cobras at Oceanside High School at 2 p.m. He will be handing out water that day. Bring your water bottle. It has a coupon there. And then that evening, like Eileen said, at 5 p.m., 1st Marine Division Band and Harmonics, is that what you said? We'll be playing at the amphitheater down by the pier at 5, followed by the movie Bring It On, filmed right here in Oceanside. And then, of course, on June 30th will be Poops. We need to take a break to get ready for July 3rd. our 125th anniversary. We want to thank the committee, Dave from the chamber. There's a lot of groups that helped out with the 125th, so we want to thank them. And there'll be a presentation, like Eileen said, 11 a.m. at City Hall, food, a presentation, entertainment, right here 11 o'clock. And then, of course, that evening fireworks at El Corazon at 9 p.m., which is right off of Rancho Del Oro. There is a lot of parking out there. Check the city website. We'll also have the information at the Sunset Market. And, of course, I forgot, Eileen's going to be at the Sunset Market on Thursday. So if you don't know what your kids want to do this summer, come and visit her at the Sunset Market. Okay, so then we get to the 4th of July. Oh my goodness, I'm tired already. We have the Star Spangled Sunset Market, and that is extended hours from 2 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. downtown. We have music. We have a children's area. We have about 50 hot food vendors, a lot of food, lots of red, white, and blue. This is only half of my attire for both the parade and the Star Spangled Sunset Market. So if you don't know who I am, you will that day. And of course, all this information, including road closures, et cetera, is on the city website and on the Main Street website. So if you have any questions, my name's Kathy and that's Eileen. All righty, hope to see you all there. Did I forget anything, guys?
No.
Hey, hey!
Thank you all. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, these special events take a lot of time, effort for all the volunteers, so we get to sit up here and say things about it, but remember, all the volunteers do it for free, and don't forget to thank them. Shall we?
Yes, tonight we also have the Mayor's Oceanside Business Member Spotlight, and we'd like to call forward the following individuals. We have from the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce, the CEO, David Nidegger. With him is board member Cece Haas. And chairman of the board, Jerry Salyer. Tonight we are honoring the following individual as our valued Oceanside business owner, Owen Hemsath of Video Spot Video Production and Company. If he would please come forward.
Hey, Owen. Thank you very much. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank David Nidegger and the staff at the Oceanside Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if you're aware of it, but an organization called the Oceanside was ranked as the #1 website. Oceanside Chamber of Commerce ranked the #1 website in the state of California according to the top 100 social media friendly chambers, being done by a group of MBAs. And one of the reasons for that is that because of social media, we will help people use Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube, I guess I should say. And one of the reasons that we're here tonight is because the future of Oceanside is not old people like me. We're not your grandfather's Chamber of Commerce. It's about people like Owen. And Owen Hemsath has been with the Chamber of Commerce for a couple of years. He's the founder and president of a company called Video Spot. It's a production and web marketing company based in Oceanside. Before he started Video Spot, Ocean spent 10 years working in a variety of sales and marketing organizations all over California. And he has experience ranging from home improvement sales to trade show marketing to broadcast media campaigns. He was a stand-in for ShamWow. I don't know if you know that. Here he is. Vince, the ShamWow guy. Here he is. Anyway, this led him back to go to college. It really is a great hometown story. So he came back here and he decided he wanted to get his degree in video production and media studies, which he did by putting himself through college at Cal State San Marcos by doing short films for faith-based organizations and offering $20 videos to local business owners. And so Owen is truly a self-made man. Many of the videos are still generating a small revenue stream for his family. And he
he lives here in Oceanside. He speaks frequently around the state in trainings and workshops from California to Salt Lake City, and he's working on a book right now on social media. He lives here in Oceanside with his wife Teresa. He has 3 sons, Canaan, Jameson, and Benjamin. Would you please recognize our business leader of the month, Owen Hemsack? Thank you very much.
Before you leave, is your wife up there? Please come down. You gotta see the better half. We want to make sure everybody involved in the business is up here, the big bosses, that is. Anyhow, thank you and congratulations for that. We need a photograph, please, and that way your wife's up here. Let us do this. I'm gonna make you. Thank you. Thank you all. Congratulations, young lady. Very nice. Thank you. Cece, thank you. Man. See you later, big guy. You too. It's not over yet.
Now we have the first of 2 presentations honoring champions. Tonight, for the Mayor's Youth Sports Recognition and Appreciation Award, we are honoring the Girls Under 10 Recreational Spring Championship of the Soccer Club of Oceanside, and we'd like to call the following individuals forward. Their coaches. First, we have head coach Bobby Martinez, if he'd please come forward. Assistant coach G.T. Terrell. And assistant coach Darren Bloom. And of course, there's always a good woman involved, team manager Vanessa Calvario. Now for their players who are champions, we call forward Casey Martinez, Samantha Terrell, Lauren Vaught, Asia Hall, Amelia Eschbach, Giselle Garcia, Kira Alvarez, Natalia Calvario, Nicole Bloom, Rosalind Hernandez, Stephanie Galenas, and Taylor Haganaw. Please give them a nice warm round.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. On this particular occasion, we bring special people up. We have this every council meeting because we have the youth out there representing the city of Oceanside, locally, county, state, sometimes nationally. And they represent us, and we want to thank them, the coaches, team moms, and everybody else out there that make that what they are, better citizens. But this is a good-looking group, number one. And champions, hold up your medals, plural. Ladies and gentlemen, the championship, I can barely lift these, they're so heavy. Anyhow, I want to get back to the coaches who had something to do with this.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. I'd like to thank you, Mayor Wood, esteemed council members, for the opportunity for something like this to recognize the accomplishments of these young ladies who are extremely proud to wear the city of Oceanside across their chest and play here in this beautiful city. I'd also like to thank our organization, the Soccer Club of Oceanside, for providing the platform for them to play, the city for allowing us to use fields, not only for games, but for practices. There's a lot of young people who play in this organization. I believe we're well over 1,000 into the 1100s kids playing recreational soccer. That's a lot of people to put on grass to play this game. The city does a wonderful job. The organization does a wonderful job. The majority of the people in the organization are volunteers, and they are dedicating their time and their energy to providing this opportunity for these young ladies to play. and young men as well. Talk a little bit about their season. We play an 8-game season in the spring. They went undefeated in that season. It should be noted that all of the games were extremely tight. There weren't any games where we totally dominated another team. And that's one of the things this club does extremely well, is putting together teams that are evenly matched. So every game was tough. They just happened to come through. 7 out of the 8 times they had one tie. Then we play a postseason tournament where the girls are playing 2 games on a Saturday and then potentially 3 more on Sunday. They suffered their first loss on a Saturday. Yeah, that was a little rough. They were a little shell-shocked, I believe. The looks on their faces like, what just happened? But they regrouped and came back and won another game, or actually tied a game, and then that put us in the quarterfinals. They played a tie in the quarterfinals that came to a shootout. If you guys are familiar with the game of soccer, that's one player shooting at a time, alternating teams to win the game. They did a great job with that, came through, won that, put us in the semifinals, where again we played to a tie and went to a shootout again there, and won that with some just great efforts by these young ladies, and our goalkeepers performed extremely well. When put us in the championship game, and I have to apologize to Councilman Feller that I believe that the team we played in the championship, his granddaughter was a part of that team. So sorry about that, but they came through that game with a 2-0 victory and became champions, U10, under 10 spring recreational soccer. It should be noted too that even though they're under 10, the ages on this team range from 7 all the way to 10. So there's a good mix. There's a few of these young ladies who are playing soccer for the very, very first time. And by the end of the season, they were integral parts of this team and performing extremely well. You know, it's not only me, my assistants, my team manager, all the parents that trudge them out to practice a couple nights a week. It was a huge effort, not only part of the girls, but a part of our parents. And that's what makes Soccer Club of Oceanside one of the greatest organizations in this city.
Parents, you can get up and move around with the cameras up front, whatever. Let's get them. We're going to take some pictures so you get involved too. And remember all the videos on KOCT.
Been some of the wild mothers from across the field.
Before I let them leave, I want to let you people in the audience know that this team has thrown the gauntlet down to challenge the next team coming up here to some sort of playoff. I have all my money on this. I have my money on this group right here. But anyhow, thank you. We'll get them up in a second. Thank you all. Let's hear it for them one more time.
Now, our wonderful surprise team that we have here this evening with us are called the Oceanside Chiefs Rugby Team. They happen to be the USA Division III National Championship winners for 2013.
National champion!
They went to Southern California. They played teams in Texas and Colorado. And right now we'd like to call forward their coach, Coach Harry Tarrant, and he is going to be telling you a little bit about the team, but introducing them as well. Please give them a warm welcome.
Introduce them and bring them up. Just call them up by name and I'll shake it.
What I'll do real briefly, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, council members, Mayor Woods. I'm going to bring them up individually. They'll just say their names real quick, and then we'll just filter everybody down. So,
Come on up. Come on down. Just say your name.
Assistant Coach Tony.
Secretary Samla Rusini. Theo Sione.
Savelio Trimavave. Captain Esau Sawidone.
Lawrence Hunt.
Chris Flannery.
Larry Smith.
Dwayne Jackson. Rafael Federico. Jan Artero. Sauch McCall. Rick Missner.
Trina Seal.
Jerome Rapachi. And Mika Maeva.
As you can see, we have a couple of comedians on our team. But again, I'd like to thank all of you. And just a real brief about our team. We are a men's rugby team. We fall under the Southern California Rugby Union, which has 92 teams, and a men's Division 1 through 4, a women's league, and also a collegiate league. We started in Division 4 last year. We won that division. Division 1, 2, and 3, you get to go to nationals. We moved up this year. We were very fortunate to win Division 3 undefeated. We went 9-0. And we averaged, thank you. We averaged 32 points over the opponents. We traveled, we made the Sweet 16, which was held in Irving, Texas, the middle of May. We took a 25-hour drive out to Irving, Texas. We played a strong team, Sacramento, on Saturday, and then on Sunday we played a team from Wichita, Kansas. We came back, and 2 weeks later, we went to Glendale, Colorado, which was a 14-hour drive. We played two other strong teams in the semifinals and the finals. The first team was from Saratoga, New York. The second team was from the Bronx, New York, and we were very fortunate to come out with the win. We ended the season with 13-0, and thank you. We are a very young rugby team, a men's rugby team. I know a lot of you guys are looking at us like, what is rugby? It's a very aggressive sport, controlled at the same time. It's been around since the late 1800s. It was introduced by the Europeans. It's very huge in New Zealand, South Africa, South Pacific Islands. If I can real quick, we have a couple of trophies and some plaques that we won leading up to the Nationals this past June. So we started off with the Big Bear Tournament, which we won, the Huntington Beach Veterans Day Tournament, which Jerome has. We won the Division 4, as I mentioned earlier, last year for the Cup, and then we won the Division 3. And then finally, the last one, this is our baby, all of ours, the National Championship. And before we leave, I just want to say that I think we have been somewhat successful because of the commitment of the committee members, the assistant coaches, and definitely, most importantly, the players. Very committed. We train year-round. The season goes from January to April. We go, at the end of the season, we go into summer training. We also have a sevens-a-side team. Don't want to go too much in detail about that, but it's a lot faster. It's for the little fast guys that are, a lot more fitter. And then we go right into our off-season training, which begins on Monday, July 1st. goes into September, and then from October to December, we have our mandatory preseason training, and then we jump right back into January. So I definitely applaud the players, committee members, and the assistant coaches, and we definitely appreciate the support from the city of Oceanside. Mayor Woods, thank you very much. Valerie, great meeting you. Before we leave tonight, we want to present Mayor Woods with, if Larry, come on up here. This is the actual jersey that we wear. This jersey is extra small. As you can see, none of us wear extra small, but we wanted to go ahead and present this. The plaque on the bottom says, it reads, National Champions, Oceanside Chiefs Rugby Club 2013, the perfect season, 13-0. So, lastly, we want to go ahead and present, this is the actual game ball. It's somewhat flat. The football, you can keep it as long as you want, but the rugby ball, you got to kind of toss it around to keep the air in there. So this is the actual game ball. It's signed by the players. On the bottom, it has the same exact thing as the jersey with the plaque, National Champions, Oceanside Chiefs Rugby, 2013, the perfect season, 13-0. And lastly, again, thank you very much for the support. If you go on Facebook, you just type in Oceanside Chiefs Rugby, and you'll see us all there. And we had somewhat of an issue finding a place to train. We went to Vista Sportsplex, got chased out because of youth soccer. We've gone field to field within the Oceanside city, and we kind of got chased out. So I met, I believe it was Eileen. So I will definitely be getting with her, and hopefully we can find a home to call our practice training field. And our home games were at Martin Luther King Middle School. So we would definitely want to stay here in Oceanside and train and bring more national trophies to the city of Oceanside. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the surprise for tonight, a national championship. We've had them before, but like I say, that gauntlet thrown down by that girls' team, I'm worried about. I don't know. I think they can probably take you. But for us on Oceanside, I have to say this. I went to the all-schools reunion for Oceanside High the other day, some of the people in the audience too. And a lot of the things that put Oceanside on the map are some of our athletes. Everybody knows Junior Seau, there's no doubt about it. We've got Willie Buchanan, we got Willie Banks, world's champion. We certainly have Doki Williams, etc. Chris Chambliss, the first baseman for the Yankees. It goes on and on and on. What I'm getting to, this is another group of gentlemen who represent our city. And believe me, in the sports world, the name Oceanside comes up a lot lately, and I thank you for that and all the team members. This really is a good-looking group of guys. There's a few humorists here, I know you are. Anyhow, I honor this, and this will go in a special plaque for the city, this and the rugby ball. But before that, I want to take a picture, but we might have to have some of you get up front and take a knee for the trophies and stuff. And I'm going to call up the rest of the council members for a photo op, okay? If you don't mind, and I thank you for that. And my aide will take a pictures, and once you have this guy. Okay. Once the trophies are get the good-looking guys in the back. By the way, there's family and friends from this group. Please come forward, move where you want to take your pictures. One last time, hand applause for national champions. That's for your officer. Take this off. You guys. And we got this right. And Ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a long one here because we really don't have council members in, council meetings in July because we let some of the city employees off. So this takes a little longer, but I thought you might like seeing this group.
We have just 2 more presentations. First, we are going to call forward the President and Executive Director, Chris Megason, from North County Solutions for Change. We'd love for him to come forward at this time, along with his team, if they'd come forward.
Come on, everybody, let's get the good-looking parties up here. And I'll pass the mic to you. Are you going to read this first, Valerie? She'll read it, and then we'll do it.
Proclamation and imperative to solve family homelessness. Whereas family homelessness is a challenge with an impact on every city in North San Diego County and results in unacceptable living conditions for adults and their children, has a negative impact on multiple generations of adults and children, diminishes the quality of our communities, and leads to an increased total cost of public support while impairing productivity. And whereas Solutions for Change has pioneered an effective program of creating access to the knowledge, skills, and resources that result in a permanent solution to family homelessness, thus restoring families to a productive place in our communities while lowering the total cost of public support. And whereas the mayors of the cities of Carlsbad, Escondido, Oceanside, San Marcos, and Vista declare it a region-wide imperative that permanent solutions to family homelessness be pursued, we hereby pledge and promise to move this imperative forward using the vision, model, and plan developed by North County Solutions for Change, known as the Solutions for Change model. And whereas it is our intent and promise to advance the goals of this imperative throughout the region for the purpose of developing more access to the Solutions for Change model and to support the replication and scaling of this model, thereby creating more efficient and faster access to the educational, employment, income, and health resources that homeless families need to gain and sustain housing stability. Now, therefore, be it resolved that we hereby draw the attention of the public to this regional imperative led by North County Solutions for Change and acknowledge and thank the community for their commitment to moving this imperative forward.
I'd like to thank Mayor Wood and all the mayors. We've been informed that this is the first 5-mayor joint proclamation in the history of North County for any social or economic issue. And we're just incredibly humbled, really, to be recognized like this. But this really is it's a testimonial to all of you here in Oceanside. We've been working on this for 20 years, so over 2 decades, with tens of thousands of hours worth of effort going into not just addressing the symptoms of homelessness for kids and families, but to really help a family solve this problem once and for all. This city council, I want to again thank the mayor and the city council here. They've invested over the years in this effort to solve family homelessness. And it's a big difference between solving it and just managing symptoms. And I will say that after 13 years of this effort, over 1,300 kids and over 600 families have gone from the shelters and living in cars and living in places that are really bad places for kids to live, and they're now living in homes. They have their own beds. And, you know, it sounds kind of funny, having your own bed. Well, when we get kids here, they don't even have their own pillows. They come in and they have nothing. And so to go from that, to go into a home, and then to be able to be equipped with the resources that those kids need to have a future, that's huge. And you've been a big part of this with Solutions for Change. We are so grateful for this community. We had many churches helping us, the Rotary Club here, the Kiwanis Club. So many people of this community have rallied around this model of let's solve this thing. It's solvable. We don't have to just keep our kids living in cars, tents, or out on the streets. Thank you very much.
And this is the first time I can recall all 5 mayors in the North County signing on, so that is a big deal, trying to address a concern for all those cities. The other thing I'd like you to touch on, you didn't. I've been to these annual meetings and affairs. Believe me, I've never gone anywhere where more dignitaries show up and the speakers. Will you highlight a few of the speakers we've been with and one coming up?
I didn't want to just, but since the mayor's asked me to. So on September 21st, we have the former First Lady, Miss Laura Bush, joining us. She'll be at the La Casa Resort and Spa. Last year, we had America's Mayor, Rudy Giuliani, and the year before that was Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. And the reason why all these worldwide leaders are coming right here to North San Diego County and joining with us in this effort is because they believe that this model of solving family homelessness, underlying the word solving, is one of the best models in the country. The mayor, along with many of his other colleagues, the other mayors and other folks, are getting behind this effort because we've created this model to such a degree that we can share it with other communities. So that's the real effort here is you've helped create something that could lead thousands of kids out of these atrocious situations and back into homes and change the generations for thousands and thousands of children. So that's why these big speakers are coming in.
Keep interrupting you. Tell them about your field and we went and visited the
I love this guy. I mean, he just keep, hold on a second, let me get my marketing team out, and I'll make it very quick, but we developed the first ever commercial aquaponics farm in the state of California. It's the largest commercial aquaponics farm in Southern California. It is unlike anything you've ever seen. If I could have my way, I would bring another aquaponics farm here to Oceanside. I hope to do that. Right now it's in a little unincorporated piece between Vista and San Marcos. But it is unlike anything you have ever seen. It's fish swimming around in these big 12,000-gallon tanks, just massive amounts of fish, and they turn the water into nutrient-rich water. The plants grow 3 times faster, uses 1/10 the water, and it's all sustainable and all eco-friendly. It is really something to see. So I encourage you to come see Solutions Farms. It's really the new way of growing food here locally.
Not only do they do that and grow it, but the people that you've taken off the street and families, they work it. Back off the streets and working it. You want to pass the mic down to some of these lovely ladies?
She just asked me, www.
www.solutionsforchange.org. You can find information about the farms, tours, and also any sponsorship opportunities, opportunities you'd like to do with our gala or tickets for our gala.
Introduce yourself, please. Oh, you're up here.
Linda Moynihan, Development Manager.
Darlene Ulrich, Executive Assistant. Debbie King, born and raised in the great city of Oceanside. Thank you very much.
Let's hear it from one more time. Thank you.
And for our last presentation and proclamation, and I would say last but not least and very patient, we have a proclamation honoring the Hospice of North Coast. And we would like to call forward Maurice Kaufman, who's their Executive Director, and Bonnie Bell, the manager of their Access Center.
Take the mic.
Whereas Hospice of the North Coast was established in 1980 to fill the need for comprehensive, compassionate hospice care in North San Diego County, offering the highest quality services and support to patients and family caregivers facing serious and life-limiting illness. And whereas Hospice of the North Coast has dutifully served more than 20,000 patients in Oceanside, Camp Pendleton, Carlsbad, Del Mar, Encinitas, Escondido, La Jolla Rancho Santa Fe, San Marcos, Solana Beach, and Vista for over 30 years. And whereas Hospice of the North Coast will open its new 6-bedroom Pacifica House inpatient facility in Carlsbad in late summer 2013, and will be the first and only hospice house in North San Diego County. And whereas Hospice of the North Coast will provide all levels of hospice care within this new residential setting, with an emphasis on patients receiving the highest quality of care. And whereas a grand opening and ribbon-cutting ceremony for Pacifica House will take place in Carlsbad at 4 p.m. on July 12, 2013. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jim Wood, Mayor of the City of Oceanside, do hereby proclaim July the 12th as Hospice of the North Coast Day in honor of the grand opening of Pacifica House.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Wood and council members, and a special thank you to Valerie. You are a champion reader. You make it sound so wonderful. We just want to say that we love Oceanside. We've been here 33 years, and we've had wonderful board members, volunteers, and patients and families from the city of Oceanside. And we don't want to see any of you at Pacifica House too soon. You take your time. On the other hand, it's so wonderful that we will now be able to offer a safe and beautiful place for people to be during their last days. And it doesn't matter what their income level is. Whether or not they can pay, we'll have a place for them. So thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, I was in law enforcement for 31 years, as I've told you before. Believe me, but from the programs like TIP and hospice was a lifesaver for law enforcement. We had somebody to call that would be involved with the families in these kind of cases. You know what? That's very time-consuming for law enforcement, so they've been a wonderful help to me all those years I was there. And here, believe me, if it's your own family member, it's a different story. It's really hard. These are people that can help you, get you involved, get all the things done that you need to do, that you're too tied up emotionally to do. So I want to personally thank each one of you for what you do for everybody in all those cities. That's for you. But anyhow, thank you very much. Let's hear it for big-hearted people. Did you want to... Please give us your name again.
The mayor would like me to say, my name's Bonnie Bell. I'm also a longtime resident of Oceanside. Thank you.
I like the name Bonnie Bell. Thank you. Yes.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for that. It was time-consuming, but those are a few things we'd like to thank people that are involved in the community and give back, and especially the sports teams. We were surprised about the national champions coming in tonight, but I'm glad they were here. And for your time and effort, thank you very much for waiting. With that, Mr. Clerk, let's go to closed session report from our city attorney.
Thank you. The City Council met in closed session to discuss items 1 and 2 on the agenda. Item 1 is conference with labor negotiator involving the Oceanside City Employees Association, the management employees of the City of Oceanside, Oceanside Police Officers Association non-sworn, Western Council of Engineers, and the unrepresented. There is no action to report on that item. Item 2, conference with legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of Dunnex, Inc. versus Cavalier Mobile Estates. The council did discuss that matter, but there's no reportable action at this time.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Mr. Clerk, Item number 37, I'm sure she was here earlier and addressed that issue, I'm assuming. So 37 is out. Anybody else remember how many for?
We have 3 speakers wishing to speak on item number 38.
Please go ahead.
The following members of the public may come forward at this time: Tim Broom, Diane Strader, and Larry Berry. Each of you have 3 minutes to address the council on items off of the agenda.
Honorable Mayor, Council, my name is Tim Broom. I'm a resident here in Oceanside. I live at 1429 Papin Street, and I am the president of the Eastside Oceanside Airport Subcommittee. First, I want to thank our city attorney, John Mullen, for helping me and giving me his ear. He's treated all this very transparently and in a professional manner. First off, I'm here to speak to you tonight about the ongoing issue of airport noise in the East Side. I'm sure that you all are pretty familiar with that. This was a problem over 10 years ago. At that time, I believe that a airport management organization was found to help get rid of these issues. That has not happened. Last year in May, I wrote you all a letter explaining and outlining the problems that we've been having in the East Side. Mr. Feller, I want to tell you that I appreciate your office responding to my email. That was the only response to my email that I got from council. I sent out another email again about a month or so ago. That email went unresponded to. So now you get to hear about it in person. The problem that we're having in the East Side is with low-flying aircraft and aircraft flying at all hours. Midnight through 5 a.m., I have aircraft 100 feet off the roof of my home. Again, not able to find any neighbors who like that. I filed almost 100 written complaints with Airport Property Ventures. That is the organization that is supposed to manage the airport. Airport Property Ventures does not follow up on my complaints. I'm under the impression that they have informed council that no written complaints have been received. That is false. Case in point is aircraft with the tail number N5025. I've filed 4 complaints. First complaint, you received an email last year. Latest complaint was a month ago. I don't know how many complaints it's going to take to get that problem taken care of. The airport does not give me tail numbers when I call and request them. And that stuff's already been outlined as well. Basically, at this point, I've got a lot of clear documentation regarding the problem. The deal with the Eastside Oceanside Airport Subcommittee, which I'm working on, is not to close the airport. We want to regulate the airport. I want to partner with you and go to the FAA and have some clear guidelines and some airport restrictions put in place so that we can continue to operate the airport. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor Wood, council members. You've seen me here before, and I usually come up here to praise some part of the city, but not tonight, I'm sorry. It's an exciting time in Oceanside. All you hear with all these wonderful things that we've had. We had a few months ago where we changed the name of the airport in honor of Bob Maxwell. What a wonderful time that was. What a wonderful event that was. Unfortunately, you've got pilots who don't honor the memory, the background of Bob Maxwell. And I'm here for one purpose and one purpose only tonight, and that is to come before you in a public forum to let you know that we have a problem. I don't want 2 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, any council member saying, this is the first time I've ever heard of this, or I didn't know there was a problem. I'm letting you know tonight that 6 months from now, you cannot say that. Again, the goal for me is not to close the airport. I just want them to be good neighbors. I went down to the Palomar Airport and spoke to pilots down there, and within 24 hours, I did not have a single Palomar pilot fly over our neighborhood. That's a good neighbor. I've gone down to the Palomar Airport, the Bob Maxwell Airport, and I've talked to pilots there. Some are polite, and I have to say most of them are. But you've got a good 10 to 15% that would just as soon spit in my face, that are just as rude and crude as they can be. And unfortunately, we have to put up with that. I want to show you a packet here. This is a packet of radar screens of pilots who are not complying with the red line that Oceanside has. This is a packet of correspondence and research that we have done regarding the airport and how we can take care of this issue. So folks, I'm just here for one reason, and that's to let you know if there's a problem. We want to work with you. I want to work with the pilots. And unfortunately, you've got pilots in Palomar who won't come to Oceanside because they don't feel like the pilots are safe. They want to bring their planes down here because they live in Oceanside. But they won't bring them until certain problems are addressed. Thank you.
Councilmember, my name is Larry Bear. I live on 3973 Brown Street in the city of Oceanside. I want to reference the joint city and the schools symposium workshop that they had a month or two ago or something. And I think this is a big issue in our city, and I think that there's some things that, unfortunately, a lot of times these things we have a meeting, we talk about it, and then nothing gets done. I know the police did something, they threw out a few soccer balls and bought some sodas or something, and we had a stabbing again, this is just a week or so ago, another gang member or something. First I think we all owe a big praise and a kudos to Doug Manchester, because when he bought the North County Times, eliminated our high profile in our reading and updates. The Union Tribune is a so-called local section. It's not quite local to Oceanside, and so we're not getting the pub that we used to in the local. So I guess that's a good thing for our perspective from people looking at us. But unfortunately, it doesn't mean it doesn't happen. I don't know if you've noticed in the last 2 weeks that graffiti has just exploded in the city. There's a lot of problems throughout the city, and maybe it's just because of the end of school and the summertime and kids are out there. So I've asked people to start taking a look at it. The only way we're going to solve a lot of our problems in these so-called depressed neighborhoods is that code enforcement and the city attorney take action on these landlords that do basic, slumlord people living in 7, 8 people living in a one-bedroom apartment is just unrealistic in Oceanside. I know on my street in Oceanside, I have a family where there's 5 families living in the street, in their home there, 9 cars. It's a really trying and it's a hard thing to get these people. One, you don't want to be overbearing, and yet it depresses our neighborhood. And if you allow one go in, you're going to get 2, you're going to get 3, and I don't see the city doing it. We're going to solve these problems if we take a hard stand and be vigilant and to enforce the law, enforce the codes, and to make a difference and put people on notice. A lot of times we don't have to throw somebody in jail or fine them. We just have to give them give them a ticket or somebody show up in the door and say, you can't do that, and they'd be able to throw them out. So again, the things that we need to do, our schools, our property values are dropping, our schools, the API for the California education has had it, this is one of the lowest times, the grades are falling, and we're not seeing major improvements in our schools. Thank you very much.
Final 3 speakers are Aaron Morin, Joan Brubaker, and Jimmy Knott.
Good evening.
Hello. My name is Erin Gilligan Moore, and I live at 1241 Chambord Court. And I just want to say one thing. I'm here on behalf of Southmore Hills as the ag representative. I would like to let you know that George and Kim Murray of Beach Coast Wine, I think it's Beach House Winery, they took first place in the wine competition at Del Mar Fair. And so it's our local winery, and they are my neighbor, and I'm just giving them a little shout out tonight to let them know that they won top winery of North County. They outbid the other big wineries that are in California. So this was amazing. We were all shocked. We're all proud of them at Southmore Hills. So I just wanted to give that little shout out. Thank you.
Thank you. And by the way, Oceanside keeps doing it. They're #1 in the winery aspect of Del Mar, and that's when we open up to have wineries up in Morro Hills. So congratulations. Thank you. Hi, Ms. Brubaker. How are you?
Yes, Joan Brubaker, 1606 Acmore Road. Talking about the airport, the other people, I was happy to hear some addresses on items, but when the present concern that is managing the airport was vying to do that, which I think has been, 3-4 years ago, something like that, I made mention of a hangar building that the roof was in such dreadful condition it looked like it was almost ready to collapse. And they're going to fix that right away. I thought, boy, that's a good idea. Well, I've noticed, I've been motoring down the freeway, or the expressway, that building is yet there, and to add insult to injury, they've draped a beautiful large red and yellow sign over it, advertising skydiving. I thought, man, that is a winner. With such a deplorable building, it's the worst looking thing along the highway in the airport area. Why someone doesn't take an opportunity to do something about it, I don't know. I'm not aware whether those hangars are owned individually by the city or property of the airport per se. But somebody needs to take a little mending hand at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan.
Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Sherry Lane. I'm here to basically pick up where Director Turk took and forgot to do something. She had to leave early because she made a promise on some form of ice cream to some young people that she was here with. And that is that there was a notice here for Marshall Street Pool. And that'll be opening up on July 1st. And she wanted me to let everybody know that that will be taking place. And that starting on July 1st, there will be a cake and opening ceremonies there. And in fact, I have bought myself some new swimming trunks so that I can do my cannonball. And I'll probably not be there that day, but I'll follow it up on another day. Also, there's going to be a Facebook page also for that for Marshall Street Pool, in case anyone wants to go there as well. So it's going to be, as you can see there, for an open swim time from 1:30 to 3:30. We're at Brook Street. They are overbooked, and so that people can be taking and knowing that their children can go over to Marshall Street Pool, and that they can have their children go there. And we had some information brought forward to you this day that's about some graffiti and things for children to do. This is one of the things that you have made available for the children of South Oceanside and also for the city of Oceanside. And once again, we thank you. And just to inform the public, again, Marshall Street Pool will be open and open on July 1st. Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Thank you very much. A couple of comments were made about the airport. I'm going to make it short. You can always contact the city manager's office. We turned that over to another company to run and operate the airport a couple of years back. They've been tied up in litigation for a couple of years and kind of staying down. They won and they're moving forward, but they just now are starting to move forward. All those repairs you talk about, et cetera, they've been sitting on because they couldn't do anything with the litigation in court. They're out of that. Hopefully the city manager will contact them regarding some of your concerns. Now you see out there they're laying concrete pads already for some of the new hangars. They're supposed to improve everything out there. As for the noise, I got to tell you this, you're not the first one. All-Lipper and Raintree on the Hill had the same problem. We got zero cooperation from FAA. They did not cooperate us. We couldn't enforce any rules, regulations, etc. I want you to know that. They were not easy to deal with, and they didn't care what we wanted. But we'll still work on that. But thank you for coming and complaining. It starts it all over again. Thank you very much. With that, can we go to item 39, please?
Item number 39 is request by Mayor Wood to make appointments to or motions for removal from some or all of the city's advisory groups.
Thank you very much. I put a list out a week in advance to all the council members. I had been addressed and contacted by people saying they needed some people on their committees, and that if we didn't do that, they couldn't get a quorum together. So I put out this list to try to change some of it, and I'll make a motion for that, hopefully the second, and move forward. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, I will second all of them except Integrated Waste Commission and Utilities Commission. I'd like to discuss those separately.
You can. And you want to do that now or the motion?
I'm sorry, what?
You want to address it now?
Yeah, I would like to make the motion on all of them, just discuss those separately. So to all of those except Utilities and Integrated Waste, we vote on that one, then we bring the other two back.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, okay, I'm looking for my list, I'm sorry. Thank you very much. And the rest of the council members, Councilmember Kern has spoken. You got any issues on those? Thank you. For the remainders, let's vote, please.
Motion approved 4-0.
Mr. Kern, address your two issues.
Actually, on the Integrated Waste Commission, I will move to reappoint Aaron Marin as a regular, but I cannot support Ms. Scott. So the idea that I will, I guess, make the motion to reappoint Aaron Marin as a regular on Integrated Waste.
Thank you, sir. And I have a motion, so you're seconding that item. Okay, any discussion? Is there public on any of these? I'm sorry.
No public on
Thank you, the rest of you gentlemen. On this
Second, Councilman Kern's motion.
Okay.
Thank you. We're voting for...
It says motion, I'm just seconding.
Second, the appointment of the first one, reappointment. Let's vote on that.
Are we voting simply on the
Just
integrated waste
strictly on
and
Ms.
utility?
Moran.
Thank
The
you.
motion is just for Ms. Moran, not for the
Okay.
Ms. Scott, I believe.
That's what I'm hearing, yes.
Yeah.
Please vote.
Motion approved 4-0.
And then I will second the appointment of Brian Boyle and the reappointment of Ira Landis on the Utilities Commission.
Okay. Please vote. I'm sorry, before you vote, any conversation with the rest? Please vote. So you have two that are at issue?
Question. Prior to moving forward on that vote, the previous vote was 4-0. We voted, or council voted for Aaron Moran. Was that including the not reappointing Nadine Scott on that previous?
I did not second that.
We haven't gone to that yet.
I did not second that one, so it's just Aaron Moran.
Okay.
And then on this one here, I'm just seconding the appointment of Brian Boyle and Ira Landis.
Okay. Motion approved 4-0.
I'm going to go back to clarify it, going back to the integrated waste for reappointment of Nadine Scott. I make that motion. Is there a second? I see none. It fails because of lack of a second. Back to the other one, you get a move from a replacement move for this gentleman replacing Jimmy Knott. No motion?
No second.
No second? Thank you very much. It dies for lack of second. Thank you. I'll have to bring other names forward, but I'm getting information from the public, and that's why I put those on. Thank you. Go ahead.
Honorable Mayor, council members, under your current policy, since Ms. Scott and Mr. Knott are currently on the commission, they would remain on the commission until replaced.
I realize. That's our policy. Thank you very much. Item number 40, please.
Item number 40 is request by Deputy Mayor Kern to set aside sufficient funding from the Laguna Vista sales proceeds to fund construction of the 4 beach restrooms located at Sportfisher, Tyson, Breakwater, the Pier Amphitheater restroom, and renovation of restroom facilities located at Wisconsin Street, and provide direction to staff.
Thank you.
Okay, we've all received tons of emails about the beach restrooms. I mean, it's probably one of our premier locations in the city. A lot of people that come to the city, almost everybody visits the restrooms. They don't always go to the restaurants, they don't always go out on the pier, but they usually visit the restroom. So my motion is to actually set aside sufficient funding from the sale of Laguna Vista Mobile Home Park for the construction of the 4 beach restrooms located at Sportfisher, Tyson, Breakwater, the Pier Amphitheater restroom, the renovation of the restroom facilities located at Wisconsin Street, and provide the direction to staff that they're going to come back with the funding for that. We have the designs almost done. That was money that was left over from redevelopment, but we had no money to build the actual restroom. So we have the opportunity here now with the sale of the mobile home park to put money in the beach restrooms. And so I think that's vitally important to our tourists here in Oceanside. You know, we are becoming more and more of a tourist driven economy, and this tourist attraction, or this tourist serving facilities that we have at the beach are vitally important. So with that, I would look for a second, and we'll let the people speak.
Okay, a second.
Okay, and then public. Mr. Clerk, if we can go to the public.
Yes, we have 4 members of the public wishing to speak on this item. You may come forward in the following order: John Daly, Leslie Gall, Jim Schroeder, and Roseanne Kiss.
John Daly, 631 South Coast Highway, Oceanside. Honorable Mayor, City Council members, Councilman Kern, I think you forgot about your constituents that use the bathrooms also. The tourists are not the only people that use the bathrooms on the beaches. And as a person who's been along the Strand most of my life, and more often than most people will ever be there, I've watched the bathrooms become less and less desirable, no matter how many times you clean them and how well you take care of them, which your contractors do a great job, considering what they had to work with. I think there's no question we're at a point in the community's life where it's time to do something really smart and really nice along the beach. And the new styles of restrooms, individual doors going in and things, and the way they design them, I think make that happen. This is something I would fully support. I hope the council would fall behind your motion and support it too. Thank you very much.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council members. My name is Leslie Gall, and I'm with Visit Oceanside, and I'm speaking tonight on behalf of the Oceanside tourism industry. We do support that you moving forward on setting funds aside from the sale of Laguna Vista to fund the beach restrooms. As you know, the beach restrooms are the #1 activity our visitors experience in Oceanside when they visit. It does generate the greatest ROI and draws over 5 million locals and visitors there each year. According to a 2012 study that we did, visitors that visit Oceanside spend an average of $120 per day per person, and day visitors spend an average of $68 per day per visitor. So you can see that there is an impact on the visitor spending. Currently, the beach restrooms are a public relations issue for Oceanside, as well as health and safety issues. Local businesses and organizations, including Visit Oceanside, have received complaints from visitors who feel like that we aren't maintaining our bathrooms and our beaches, and they do not plan to return. So this does, again, impact vital tax dollars for the general fund. I appreciate your time tonight, and again, on behalf of the Visit Oceanside and the tourism industry, we do support you moving forward with that.
Honorable Mayor and Council, my name is Jim Schroeder. I'm Chairman of the Economic Development Commission. The Commission supports you 100% in the effort of totally remodeling the bathrooms. I know it's been a several-year project. Unfortunately, we did lose funds by the governor who took it away from us, I should say. Yeah, he took it to us all right. We have a number of projects that are coming into the beach area downtown. We have the new Marriott, which is in the process of opening, hopefully by the February of 2014. The SD Malcolm project is hopefully coming online. We'll be able to start working on that. So there's a lot of new tourists that are also coming in. One of the benefits of having the best bathrooms on the beach, we've been number one tonight in a lot of things. We should be the best bathrooms on the North Coast also. Would be, right. We have a historical crapper too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Another first. Hopefully the last. With all of this that's taking place, we do need to have pride. We, for the longest time, Oceanside had a motto that was called "Take Pride in Oceanside," and I really think we need to do this. It's important. The TOT is a benefit of all of the guests that stay in our hotels. The city of Oceanside receives 100% of that. If we can get our guests to come back and return and spend their money season after season, weekend after weekend, the TOT benefits. So we not only win on one side, we're winning on another side. I realize that we have these funds that we are looking at are for the 5 bathrooms, but we do have another one which is very important next to the amphitheater. I nicknamed it really, it's called the Historical Crapper, but it has a lot of other names, and it's something that really needs to be looked at. I know that's been discussed. I realize we don't have funding right now on it, but it is something we need to take a look at. We have wonderful concerts on the beach. They're bringing people in just for a few hours that are enjoying the city, but unfortunately they have great music, they have wonderful sunsets. When they do Mother Nature calls, it's very difficult for them to step foot into those bathrooms, so we do need to take a look at that down the line. Take pride in Oceanside. We're number one. Thank you.
Mayor Wood and council members.
Bring the mic down.
Sorry,
Thank
short
you.
people. My name's Roseanne Kiss. I'm North County Printers, Bright Bar Signs in Oceanside, but I am also the board chair of Main Street Oceanside. We're writing to you on behalf of the board of directors of the Main Street Oceanside. Our organization represents many of the business owners and property owners in downtown Oceanside. As you know, the restrooms that serve our visitors and the beach are in very sad state of disrepair. Most of the facilities are decades old and were not meant to service the huge numbers of people that now visit our beach each summer. The Beach Restrooms Improvement Project will not only benefit our visitors who bring much needed tourist dollars to our economy, but it will also benefit the citizens of Oceanside who deserve decent restroom facilities during the visits to our beach. The Main Street Oceanside Board of Directors voted on the 25th of June to support Deputy Mayor Kern's request to set aside sufficient funding for the Laguna Vista sales proceeds to fund construction of the 4 beach restrooms located at Sports Fisher, Tyson, Breakwater, and the Pier Amphitheater restroom, and the renovation of restroom facilities located on Wisconsin Street. Thank you for your consideration.
No further public on this item. Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. It says here, the Pier Amphitheater restroom. Is that the one that needs to be blown up, or the one on the pier?
I don't know which one.
Because the restroom that Mr. Schroeder was talking about is a historic structure, we are prohibited from blowing it up. But yes,
somebody does every day.
It also has a dual capacity as a lift station, so that function needs to remain. However, we are, as part of this, we are in the process of starting the design for both the bathhouse and a new restroom structure, which would take the place of the beach lockup and the Harbor and Beaches maintenance facility. So yes, those are included in. If you approve Councilmember Kern's item, those restrooms will be included in that.
So we would be closing that facility and moving over.
We will be renovating that facility. We have not come to a conclusion if we're just going to upgrade it and put additional restroom facilities in it, or it'll be one big facility out front. But we cannot just eliminate that facility.
Okay, and we have a preliminary estimate?
We do for the new restrooms, with the exception of the beach amphitheater area. It's about $1.2 million, which includes the replacement of the restrooms that are on the sand area and the renovation at Wisconsin Street, and also a renovation of the restrooms that are actually on the pier. And we're looking at an additional 1.5 to 1.7 or so for the amphitheater restrooms. The total amount that we would, if you're going to set this aside, would be $3 million.
$3 million.
And I will tell you, the total proceeds from Laguna Vista sale are about $5.6 million. You've allocated just a little over $600,000 for opportunistic sand. We plan on coming to you on August 7th, I think it's the August 7th meeting, to allocate the balance of those monies.
Okay. Well, I spent a little time down there a week ago for our grandson's 18th birthday, and you know, they've got everything from pot smoking with lookouts in the bathrooms to, I mean, just the facilities are, they're okay if you get there right after the cleaning crew, but it doesn't take but a minute or two to get them just almost uninhabitable for standing or sitting. So I remember the design was a little more open. I mean, not to the outside, but it allowed a little better viewing of who's going in and coming out. I can't recollect, but I hope we're taking that into consideration.
We are, and the majority of them, at least the newer ones, are going to be exterior accessible, one-person access, so they will not have the congregation opportunities that you have now.
Okay. Well, I support this, and I think it's a wise use of our found money. I think we need to make a difference down there. Although if we don't get sand on the beach, nobody will be down there to use the bathroom. So that's a bigger fish to fry. So that's all I have.
Councilmember Feline, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, it's interesting, the history we're forced to protect here in Oceanside, and on the City Council you learn something new every day. So, Mr. City Manager, please explain to me how some old restroom gains historical significance and is protected from demolition.
Actually, I believe Mr. Daly could probably help you out on some of that. I don't know.
30-second version here.
Because it's old, it's considered historical. It's that simple.
I guess we will.
The Top Gun house.
Yeah. Well, other than being careful to offend any historical sensibilities, I think it's definitely worthwhile moving ahead with this project. You know, certainly since I've been on the council, we've tried to fight through the redevelopment challenges that we've had to fund this project, and to date have been unsuccessful. And this money from the sale provides an avenue to move ahead on this critical project. I think it is important that it creates an image for the city of Oceanside, and will determine whether or not people want to come back again. And that's certainly, as someone mentioned, one of the facilities that's used by 100% of the visitors who come to the beach. And so I think we need something new down there, and commend Councilman Kern for bringing this item forward.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, first off, I think this is a great idea. Everybody got up and spoke. I do have some concerns, and I will tell you what those are. We sold the mobile home park. We got money, and where do we spend it? One-time money. Originally it was brought up that it should go back to housing, where it was borrowed from, to build a Mission Cove senior affordable housing down in the valley. We have a lot of push from the state regarding affordable housing, so that was one of the projects. I know most people would rather spend it somewhere else, including for the bathrooms. I'm not against that. Anybody at 65 years of age wants clean and available bathrooms, and that's me. So I don't mind this issue. What I have the concerns about, I would like to bring up, no real public discussion on it. You know, we got $5 million or so to spend. Where do you spend it? The council member can put it on the item and everybody likes it and it sounds good. And that's wonderful. However, again, we have a housing issue that we've now skipped over and don't get the money. The other one is, I really want to support the people of Oceanside above and beyond the people that visit here, people that live here. Bathrooms are good. However, I've asked just before this, and I got a memo back, I thought the money should probably more appropriately be spent on the quiet zone throughout our city. You know, for the railroad, last council meeting, we had the gentleman from traffic here, Mr. Smith, and he indicated that they've been really working on it, and about 3 intersections are close to being fixed, and the other 2 need work. I don't know what the cost would be, but I'm saying if I had a choice of the bathrooms or the quiet zone for tourists or Oceanside, for the housing people who live there, or that hotel that now sits like 1 foot from the railroad track that's going to be built, and the second one that's going to go in at the pier, we probably get more complaints about the train than anything else for our tourism. So when I weigh those 2 out, that makes me go, I don't know, I'd rather get the money somewhere else. You all speaking like the bathrooms, if you were thrown into the same project, which one do you like now? The quiet zone or the bathrooms? We go to that classic, I don't know, is there enough money for both? The answer is no. But I got to tell you stuff, where money's coming in. We've set about $10 to $12 million aside for the redevelopment area down there. We can't use it now for the hotel, and we'd like to spend it. That's more capital improvement money, and the city manager, et cetera, can talk about it. That seems to be the type of thing that you'd want to use your big money for, is the bathrooms, the pier, the beach areas, et cetera. Or you can put it into reserves. The other thing is, I'm telling you that spoke, I agree with you on the bathrooms, but if you had a choice to spend that money now, I don't know what it costs, and they did put a memo out. They want us to spend $50,000 to do another study of the quiet zone. I mean, how many do we need? I would love to do all of our 5 intersections as soon as possible, so that train doesn't have to go through our city and pull the horn. And we can't have him. That's up to the railroad, the federal government. The engineer can blow that horn anytime he wants under federal law unless we approve a quiet zone, which means fixing all 5 of the intersections that cross the Oceanside. I'd like to see that as the top priority. The reason it hasn't been picked, we haven't really asked you, the public, where would you like to spend the money? What will your priorities be? I'd like to see that. We don't have it tonight. Wherever it goes, my attitude is, that's going to be a good thing. These bathrooms, fine if that's where it goes. We do have a slap in the face for the seniors' affordable housing, but I'll live with that. But my concern is, in the pecking order, I'm not sure I'd like to see the quiet zone first with the money we're going to spend. $5 million or so might take care of our quiet zone. And you know what? Those bathrooms are pretty terrible, but in the pecking order of things, maybe they should be fixed under capital improvement money. That's all I'm saying. Whatever way the vote goes, I'm in favor of it, and I want you to know that we think everybody is, because some of those are pretty bad. I got to agree. And the only thing I would add to this, if I was going to fix the bathrooms up at the beach, I would make sure that somebody designs them to have more facilities for the women's side than the men's side. I never see a line at the men's side, but the one at the pier, if there's something that goes on or a special event, you know it, the line's 20 feet long going out the door for the women's side. We should be able to figure out there's needed more on that side than the men's side, and I hope the future people who designs it goes that way, because that's where the need is at. With that, all I have to say is I think the money should be used somewhere, but I'm not sure for this location. With that, Mr. Kern has his item to speak last, and it's your shot. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to a couple items. As far as the design, they're going to be single-door items, so basically they're unisex, so the idea of the availability for men and women are equal. As far as Mission Cove goes, we have about $17–18 million invested in that already. It's all public money. There's been no private money put into that yet, so I'm a little hesitant to put any more in that one until I start seeing something from the private sector on that issue. But we have committed $17–18 million. We've given them the land. We've given them our affordable housing money. So we are moving forward with the affordable housing projects the best we can. We're going to have to see some performance on their side before we go forward, and they haven't met their performance criteria to date. So I'm a little hesitant to put any more money into that project until we see some results from the person who's developing that. With that, I thank everybody for showing up. All of us up here get a lot of emails regarding the restrooms on the beach, and when we're out in public, people talk about it, and so I think this is something that's part of our image that people will remember, and I'd rather have a fond memory or not even remember the restrooms at all than having a bad memory of a lousy restroom. So with that, thank you.
I want to abstain because I want more information. That doesn't mean I don't like it. Please, ladies and gentlemen, please vote.
Motion approved, 3-1, would abstain.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We're moving on here. The next one is a request 41 from Mr. Kern. Please, Mr. Clerk.
Item 41 is request by Deputy Mayor Kern to present SDG&E's summer outlook presentation.
Okay, as Amber gets ready here, I mean, there was a lot of talk this summer with what's going to happen this summer with SDG&E and our power supply with San Onofre going down, so that the public has asked a few questions, and so I've asked Amber to come in and I murder your new last name, so I'm not even going to try to say it, but so Amber, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me here tonight, Deputy Mayor Kern and honorable mayor, members of council. It's Amber Tervoot that works. Amber T works fine as well. I'm sorry, it's not as easy as Starbucks, is it? I wanted to share with you a little bit about what's happening with our summer power supply and also what's happening with high bills. This presentation has a lot of detailed information, so I will do my best to breeze through it, but just know that we will be coming back and partnering with the city of Oceanside in the middle of July to do a much deeper dive on the summer situation and things like that, and we'll talk a lot more about what's happening from a fire safety perspective. And then additionally, if you'd like me to come out to any other community groups, I'm more than happy to do so. So just a quick overview on what we look like for the summer. We do expect to meet our summer demand, but with San Onofre being offline, as all of you have seen from June 7th when they decided to permanently retire San Onofre, it is going to be tight for us. And without songs, that we have challenges more than just not having the supply we need. Songs provide a critical voltage support for us. In addition to the voltage support, and that's just essentially your ability to move the electrons around the system, it also provided us with a carbon-free energy resource. So from an emissions perspective, there's some other things that we really need to work with the state on going forward. We had anticipated that we would have San Onofre online until 2025, so we've got that 9-year resource adequacy gap that we are working very hard to address. A couple other things I just wanted to mention is that bringing Sunrise online last year, 2 days ago was the 1-year anniversary to have Sunrise online. We wouldn't have made it through last summer without Sunrise, and I can tell you we certainly wouldn't make it through this year without Sunrise. So that's really good news for us and for our system. So we will be continuing to monitor the situation very closely over the next several months. We will not call for conservation unless we need it, but if we do call, we would strongly encourage you and all of your constituents to conserve energy. The next slide that I wanted to show you is just a visual image of what we just talked about. The voltage support issues that we're experiencing without having San Onofre. If you look at the way the map is contoured, we're sort of the cul-de-sac for the western grid. We've done some other upgrades to our system on the transmission side to really help address that at our Encina power plant, at our Encina substation and also in Penasquitos. That should help. I mentioned Sunrise being online. And then also just north of San Onofre, last summer, Huntington Beach, those 2 units at Huntington Beach were brought online to support our summer needs. This year, because of their air credits being expired, we will not have that power supply. Fortunately, they were able to put in synchronous condensers, which will help with that voltage issue that we talked about, which will help push the electrons south to San Diego. So if we do call a hot day, and we do hope that you will support us and support conservation efforts, San Diegans are very, very good at conserving those first couple of days, but day 3, 4, our patience really wanes, and we tend to try to crank our ACs back on. So I would just bring that to your attention that if we do call for those conservation days, either through SDG&E or if you see Flex Alert through the state, we would really appreciate your support. We will go into a lot more detail on our community fire safety program on July 24th at the library when we partner with the city, but this is just something that we're exceptionally proud of. We have the third largest non-governmental weather station in the United States, and that just means that we are monitoring the weather throughout our territory. And this next slide shows you a map of those 145 weather stations, that we've positioned throughout the county. This is exciting because what this allows us to do is better prepare and stage our crews for potential problems, whether that be Santa Ana wind conditions or other things of that nature. So this is something we're very proud of, and like I said, we'll go into a lot more detail on that later this month. Summer bills. This, I'm sure you've seen in the newspaper. There was an article that ran a couple of weeks ago talking about increases from 11 to 18% for businesses. The other segment of our customers that are going to really experience this tough challenge this year are our residential customers in Tier 3-4. In a few moments, I'll get into a little bit more detail on what that means for Tier 3-4, but this is a tough challenge that we're facing this summer, and we're doing a lot to try to support not only our residential customers, but also our business customers, our civic customers. In this week, actually, we've started doing a lot of outreach to those customers that will be affected via letter, via email. We're doing a lot of work with our local media channels to try to get information into people's hands so that they have the tools and resources to conserve energy. Who is affected? When we talk about Tier 3-4, I'll show you a slide next that kind of explains what that rate structure looks like, but essentially Tier 3-4 customers is about 25% of our customer base. There's about 300,000 customers on the residential side that fall in that category. This shows what I mean by that Tier 3-4. A residential rate is a bundled rate, so on the commodity, SDG&E procures that commodity at a wholesale cost and then passes that wholesale cost on to our customers. That's about 48% of your bill. The other pieces of your bill are the distribution costs. You'll see up there the public purpose programs. That's your assistance programs. That's your California Solar Initiative, programs like that that are sponsored and mandated by the state. So that's what makes up the rest of your bill. 10 years ago, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in a moment, but 10 years ago the state of California froze electricity rates for those tiers 1 and 2. So the reason why you're seeing the impacts hit tiers 3-4 is because that's the only segment of customers who are experiencing impacts since those rates were frozen in 2010. There's a huge legislative effort underway right now that will hopefully allow the Public Utilities Commission to re-look at these rate issues. But currently this is the system that we have, and there are issues because of that broken rate structure. And like I said, those Tier 3-4 customers, that's only about 25% of our customers that fall into that category. So you're wondering why. I mentioned a little bit about the broken rate structure. That's at that bottom, that third reasoning why. That's a huge part of why our residential customers are experiencing this, but also the regulatory timing had a huge impact on our rates this summer. The Public Utilities Commission decision was 17 months delayed. Our general rate case covers a 4-year period, and so we are now 18 months into that 4-year period, and so we are going to be having to play catch up. I saw some estimates that were put out by the California ISO that stated that the impacts are about 30 to 50% more than what we would normally see had we had that decision 17 months ago, so that's a huge impact. If you look at the top, that's our GRC cost. That's all of the improvements that we've been making to our grid to make it smart and reliable. That's all of our safety measures and things of that nature. And then separately is the commodity cost that we talked about. We are moving towards 33% renewable energy by 2020, and there are certainly costs to do that. Renewable energy is more expensive, and so that filing is pending. We hope to have a decision in the next couple of weeks. So as we get more data and as we're able to crunch the numbers, we'll certainly be in touch with yourselves and other officials to let you know what those bills look like for our customers. We briefly touched on this. This is the rate design that was for AB1X that was put into effect 10 years ago. So you can see on the far left side, January 2001 is when it went into effect. Over the last 10 years, there's been significant changes to our rate structure and to the energy industry as a whole. 10 years ago, we weren't thinking about the renewable energy that we have now. We weren't talking about smart grid. We didn't have a lot of the things that we have today. And so as you can see, because the bottom tier rates are frozen, all of the costs for doing business have been accrued by those Tier 3-4 customers. So what can you do, and how can you help this summer, and how can you help your family save money? Reduce Your Use is back. This is a wonderful program. It's about, I believe it's 75 cents per kilowatt hour, and we're working on getting that to be increased. But on those really hot days, if we call a Reduce Your Use Day and you're signed up through My Account to participate, you can get bill credits. Oops. And My Account. My Account is a wonderful tool that I would really encourage you and your constituents, anyone at home that's watching, to sign up for. Once you go into My Account, you can do everything from take a look at your usage to understand when you use the most energy. It gives you a lot of tips offhand on how you can do small things around your house to really conserve and save money on your bill. And then you can also do things that would provide a much more in-depth analysis for you based on the appliances that you have in your home. This just gives you some other examples of things you can do that will help you save energy and save money right away. I can provide you with a lot of additional handouts and things like that, and we'll certainly be providing that to customers. There's a new website or a new webpage on our website. So if you go to sdgne.com/2013 rates, there's a couple of videos that give you some more information, and there's a ton of examples of things that you can do to really conserve money. Now, I know that was a lot of information over a very quick amount of time, but I wanted to open it up to questions and see if there's anything I can address for you.
Public, do we have any public comments on this one or not? I don't know. I think back to Councilmember Foley.
Thank you. Just a couple quick questions. On the issue of the San Onofre shutting down and the issue of the pipes and the design of them, and who's going to eat the loss for that?
That's a good question. We don't know that yet. In November of last year, the Public Utilities Commission opened up a hearing essentially where they are looking at all of those issues that go into who pays and when and how does that work. So we don't know the answer to that question yet, but they have started that process to look into that.
Well, I had read an article that the manufacturer, who normally should be paying since it was their misdesign, is somehow off the hook. Is my recollection correct on that? And it's a matter of who's going to get to hold the hot potato, or are they still on the hook for possibly being liable?
I think everything's still being evaluated at this time.
Okay, great. In terms of the rate structure you mentioned and the increases, that seemed to be something that was a long time in the making. Is any of that due to shutting down San Onofre? And if the answer is no, are there going to be future increases related to having to acquire energy from costlier sources?
Absolutely. Let me go back to that slide really briefly. Here we go. So this is what's causing the summer bill increases. Commodity costs are a huge part of that. I think I maybe mentioned in the beginning when we were talking about what makes up a rate, the commodity is about 48% of the cost of the bundled residential rate, and replacement power and the renewable power that we're now bringing into our system is more expensive.
So for shutting down San Onofre, we're going to have higher rates, less reliable supply, and more air pollution.
Well, we have very strong reliability standards, and so we're very confident in our ability to maintain reliability. But it does impact the power because we do have to import more power into our region. Okay. We procured about 20% of our power from San Onofre when it was up and running, and so we are having to replace that power with other resources.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Amber, I appreciate it. I don't have any more lights, but I have a question, of course. As the last power outage we had a while back,
September 8th.
It was a good learning experience for the city, and because we found out most of the traffic lights didn't work, the power went out, and all those things you expect. What we didn't know is after 4 hours, our cell phones didn't work. So that was a real surprise for us, and that's mainly the carriers had backup supply for 4 hours, not longer. So we could communicate with police, fire, etc., because all those are down. I hope we're planning for any other brownouts in the future, that we have more plans for it, including our city, because it caught us off guard for the power surge and quitting of our cell phones, and that was unbelievable. We couldn't function without them. We staged all the police department downtown at one place to get any kind of calls to respond. So I'm hoping we don't have another disaster brewing for the hot summer months. I'm sure you know that SDG&E is going to address all those, and I appreciate it. The other thing is I got a letter in the mail myself, I think yesterday, from SDG&E explaining a lot of this too.
Okay, so then if you received a letter from us, then you would be in that Tier 3 category of customers who would be seeing an impact. Mm-hmm. If you go to the website that I mentioned, that's the sdge.com/2013 rates, It'll show you, you can look at what your zone is and then what your bill is currently and what to expect for an increase.
Thank you very much, but I appreciate this before the summer. Thank you very much. Your last one.
This is just an information item, and I appreciate Amber coming in. San Onofre is going to be an ongoing problem for us. I think they just announced the 60-day layoff of 600 people. So that's going to be an economic impact in the city of Oceanside because a lot of people that work in San Onofre live here. I'm sorry, what, sir?
You said the Greenies won.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. It is what it is, and we're going to have to deal with it. So I'm more concerned now with the reliability when we get very hot days. I think this weekend is supposed to be extraordinarily hot for this time of year. The idea that in the Borrego Springs out to Lake Havasus, it's going to be 120 plus. So it's going to be very, very warm in the inland areas. So air conditioning use is going to go up. So it's going to be one of these days that we may have rolling brownouts because of the idea that we do that. So one of the things that all the fight against the Sunrise Power Link that we fought for years, now if we hadn't had that in place, we would really be in trouble. We couldn't have survived last summer or this summer, and I think you said that, without the Sunrise Power Link. So this is going to be an ongoing battle for us, is to get power into the region. The Greenies didn't really win, Jack, because now we're going to have coal-fired power plants in Arizona supplying coal energy to Southern California.
Well, we actually don't have any coal on our system.
Yeah, but I mean, when you're going to go out and purchase, you're going to get it where you can get it.
Well, we won't be purchasing coal power. We have purchased some replacement fuel that has come from other areas, but our mix is actually natural gas. And we have a few new power plants on our system that have been coming online over the past, I would say, 8 years or so, that are a much newer technology of utilizing natural gas, and so those are much cleaner burning. It's a much cleaner burning fuel than coal, and that's what we have on our system.
Yeah.
But it's different than San Onofre. You're right. San Onofre was a carbon-free resource. There were no emissions associated with power that we procured from San Onofre.
Yeah. Well, thank you, because it's going to be one of those things. So actually, repeat the date again that you'll be here.
July 24th. So Felipe Rodriguez and through the city of Oceanside is coordinating an event at the library that we'll be a part of.
Okay, so anybody that's interested, please show up and ask Amber those questions about what's going on in the future.
Thank you so much. And like I said, it's a lot of information, so I'm more than happy to come back in the future, or if you have other organizations you'd like us to work with, I'm more than happy to meet with those folks as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, the smiling faces in the audience, item number 42.
Item number 42 is adoption of an ordinance amending Chapter 10A of the Oceanside City Code prohibiting smoking in indoor unenclosed dining establishments, introduced as prepared by the City Attorney on 6/5/2013, failed 221, printed point no, Feller abstained, introduced with revisions, approved 3-1, Sanchez no, Wood absent.
Mr. Mayor, I need to go ahead and title it under...
Please, go right ahead, sir.
So before I do that, I'll make a couple quick comments. As you know, at the last council meeting, the council introduced a revised ordinance, as the city clerk indicated. The basic change to the ordinance is that it now proposes to prohibit smoking in unenclosed public dining areas, and as was read into the record at the introduction, an unenclosed public dining area is any public area with any street or sidewalk which is available to or customarily used by the general public or an employee, and which is designed, established, or regularly used for consuming food or drink, and that is not enclosed by roof and walls. You also revised the reasonable distance requirement that prohibits smoking within a reasonable distance of an unenclosed public dining area, and that is now set at 10 feet in any direction from an area adjacent to a unenclosed public dining area. So I will need the title. This is an ordinance of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 10A of the Oceanside City Code prohibiting smoking in outdoor unenclosed dining establishments.
Thank you very much. If I may on this one, I'd like the city attorney to try and answer a question for me. Not that anybody would listen to me, I know, but anyhow, I'll bring it up again. My concern on the revision that we did that day was that it seemed to be a conflict with if you had a public dining area on the sidewalk enclosed, and the other issues you brought up for distance, it would be illegal to smoke in there. On the other hand, if it was a private establishment, such as upstairs, like the Cabo, or down in the harbor upstairs, that wouldn't apply. Is that correct or not? I need the answer on that.
That is correct.
The reason I was worried about that, and the public gets to speak in a moment here, is I just want to make sure you understood. I'm not in favor of the smoking. People that are, I'm whatever, I'm not. But what I'm getting to is, I think it was wrong to have a conflict with the city and saying, if I had a restaurant that's upstairs, I get to have smokers, but if I was downstairs at the street level, I can't have it. That throws me into this conflict that we are having somebody have an advantage over another place, number one. Number two, a potential of litigation over this particular issue, which I didn't want to go down that path. So I have my concerns about this. I don't support it anyhow, but I'm also concerned about the legal ramifications of that, and I guess we'll have to be worked out later. With that being said, I want to know what the public thinks, and we have speakers, I'm assuming. Sorry that you're last on the list, but you got your chance. Thank you.
Yes, to members of the public wishing to speak on this item, I'll call you two at a time. First we have Joe Jeffrey, and second we have Danielle Penman.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's two of you being called up. There's two podiums, and take either one. I didn't hear.
Then following would be Dee Dee Engels.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I spoke last City Council meeting about this.
Remember.
Thank you, I think.
Well, yeah, thank you. It was a fun evening.
One of the things that I had brought up last time, the amount of approvals I had to go through to get my outdoor establishment from the Oceanside Police Department, the ABC, the Planning Department, the Building Department, along with the construction costs. I put out a lot, and it was based on the customer request repeatedly to go ahead and establish that. 75 to 80% of my customer base are Oceanside City residents from within 2 to 2.5 miles of my establishment. And I do have, as I said last time, several people from the Marriott, from all over the country, all over the state. And smoking, or the area for that, is much more liberal in many other places. So I did that just as customer service, and I feel that to have a successful business, customer service is number one. It wasn't anything in particular I wanted. I don't smoke. I don't endorse it. It was strictly to go ahead and give the people what they were asking for. And based on that, I would like the City Council to allow the business owners to make that determination of whether or not we want to go smoke-free or not. If I felt that the majority of people coming to my place would rather have it smoke-free, I would go in that direction. But at this point, and up until this time, it hadn't even come close to that. It's just a matter of the freedom to make their own choice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Honorable Mayor, Deputy Mayor, council members, my name is Dee Dee Engels. I am with my husband, the owner of Cigar Grotto here at 220 North Coast Highway.
Let's pull your mic down a little. I had a hard time hearing you. I'm sorry. Thank you.
Is that better?
Yes.
We have had our business for 14 years. We are very much involved with this city, our community. I host cigar socials at many of the restaurants here. I used to do it at Carlsbad until they did their smoking ban, which has brought a lot of extra business to Oceanside. I've now had a few cigar socials here in Oceanside, in the harbor, and at a couple other restaurants, and we average about 75 people. Half of those people come from out of town. Half of those people have never been to Oceanside and would not have come to Oceanside without the venue for the cigar social. And I'm not just speaking for the cigar smokers, I'm speaking for everybody. I do believe that as the business owners, the people that pay the rent, the mortgage, the insurance, the employees, et cetera, we should have the right to make the decision of smoking or not smoking. There are many, many establishments where the owners can say themselves, smoking is not allowed. Why don't we have that same right to say smoking is allowed? If you make this blanket statement like Carlsbad did, excuse me, we don't have a choice. We have nowhere to go. I was just, but playing on my phone, got onto Yelp.com. There are 26 places in Oceanside where you cannot smoke. I think we have the same right
as adults who work hard, that if occasionally we want to go and sit on a patio in the harbor and enjoy a cold beverage and a cigar or a cigarette, we should be able to do so. That is just my opinion. Through this, I've been able to start a nonprofit, Cigar Grotto Gives Back, and the money that we make from doing our outside venues, we give back to this community. We support a rugby team. We donate to youth recreation. We just started a golf program on Camp Pendleton for the Wounded Warriors, so the gentlemen, men and women coming back can rehabilitate themselves. These are just some of the things that I know these other restaurant owners here that are going to speak, they do the same thing. I just want the opportunity for an even playing field. If you as a business owner can say, I can't smoke, I as a business owner want to be able to say, you can smoke. There are options. Give us one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next two speakers, Kimberly Mars and Sarah Black.
Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I'm Kimberly Mars from the Tremont Street Bar and Grill. I'd like to address the issue of the proposed amendment to Chapter 10A, the Oceanside City Code, the no smoking ordinance. As I stated in my communication at the first meeting earlier this month, I'm fighting a tremendous financial hurdle since investing in Oceanside in 2009. The economic downturn hurt me personally very hard. I've been really trying to get myself unstuck out of this, and I'm tenacious and I want to make my business thrive down here. When Carlsbad enforced their smoking ban, it sent many people to Oceanside. I got a lot of business from it because they can come on my patio, they can bring their puppies, and they can sit outside. We need to keep people and visitors here in Oceanside buying our goods and services so we can become economically strong. We need to focus our resources more, I think, on fighting crimes in our street as opposed to giving out cigarette tickets. Smoking, whether we like it or not, and I don't endorse it because I don't smoke, but it's not an illegal activity. People are not breaking the law if they choose to smoke. If this proposed ordinance is enforced, it will force people outside of a nice outdoor area, dining area, and will lend itself to perceived loitering, which I remember from years ago when I had another establishment. The police harassed a lot of people outside. It just didn't look good. Anyway, it's going to force people 10 feet beyond my door, which is now going to encroach on my neighbor. And now if they decide that they don't want the smoke wafting, and then it sends them half a block down. It just to me is not going to look good, and we don't need to do that. I truly understand the concerns of all the people that spoke at the last meeting in favor of the ban, but I don't really realistically think any of these people have ever been down here in Oceanside have spent their money down in our establishments. I understand with this ordinance now that it's going to be very unfair for me because the Cabo Grill, which is a competitor of mine, will be able to smoke. I won't. That's not right. You're now making it a very unfair playing field. I'm going to be impacted and it's going to affect me financially, but it won't affect them. That's just not the way to do this. So I implore you to rethink about this. Let us as the business owners make the decisions if we wish to be smoking establishments or not. And let us make that call right now. I just think that this is a real premature step for Oceanside to take, especially coming out of this economic downturn. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good evening.
Good evening. Is that tall enough for me? I'm not short like the rest. I'm just kidding. Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Sarah Black. I'm the owner of the Red Rooster Bar and Grill. I was at the last meeting when this subject came up about this ordinance. I did not speak about it because I didn't know the protocol to be able to speak. At that time, Mayor, you had made a reference that the information had been spread to all the business owners in Oceanside about this ordinance, and that the restaurant owners were not here, so they obviously didn't care. Well, I couldn't have found that to be further than the truth. When I left here, I went home and called numerous other bar and restaurant owners to find out, and none of them knew about it. And as you can tell tonight, they came back here in forces because they want to be heard as well. I myself am a non-smoker. I, back in 2006, spent over $40,000 putting in a smoking patio at my bar, and I'm not a restaurant, I'm a bar and grill. I'm not even a restaurant. I put it out there so that the smokers would not stand out in front of the door and throw their butts out into the streets. I have a nice area where you can come and sit, have a drink, have a cigarette, which goes hand in hand for many people that drink. And you can also eat out there. Now, if you put this through, I can say you can't eat out there, but you can still go out and have a cigarette. Well, they all want to bring their drinks. I just don't think that it's feasible. I don't think it's fair. And like Dee Dee said, it's not fair for one bar who has 3 stories to be able to do it, but I can't do it. My smoking patio is probably close to 40 feet from the street, from the public sidewalk. You can't get to my patio unless you go through the bar. I'm 21 and older. You can't even bring children in there. So I don't think that all the actual stipulations of what can happen and what can't happen and who can have it and who can't have it, it's not clear. It's not clear to me whether I'm safe back there 20, 30, 40 feet from the street. I'm out in the great open air. It's not affecting anybody except for the people who are in my bar. And those people choose to come there because they like to be able to have a drink and a smoke and a Rooster burger. One more little thing I want to add. Red Rooster is 50 years old this year. And we were nominated the 4th year in a row for the best hamburger in the Union Tribune, best of in the top 10. So don't take my business away from me. We love our burgers. We also love to smoke and drink. Thank you.
Final 2 speakers, Tony Zand and then Bill Rose.
Both of those guys have left.
Pull the mic up for us there. There we go.
Ward O'Doherty, Ocean Law, 12-year Oceanside resident, and both Tony and the other gentleman that was here, I would dare say echo the remarks that were said earlier. These guys are hanging on by the skin of their teeth in the down economy, and now when we just are starting to come out and see some ray of sunshine, now they get hit with the no smoking thing. And I just think if we can kick the can down the road and look at this maybe next year, and give them an opportunity to get back on their feet, it might be wise to do that. Also, Mr. Mullen, can you define what is a private restaurant as opposed to a public restaurant? Because when I read the ordinance, it seems a little murky to me.
Yeah, the amendment was made during the council meeting and read into the record, and subdivision G of section 10A2 identifies an unenclosed public dining area. That means any public area within any street or sidewalk. I read the prior definition earlier. So the intent of that section is that if you basically have to get a permit to encroach on the city sidewalk to set up your cafe, then you would be subject to this prohibition.
Well, thank you. We're also dealing with code enforcement that has never been addressed. I mean, for instance, Kimmy's Tremont Grill, she has a code enforcement issue there that has never been addressed. It's 7, 8 years old that she has a smoking patio. Is that private or is it public?
He hasn't been there, in my opinion, I've been there. It's private. In other words, your place doesn't fit into a category of a sidewalk or a public area, so yours would be legal, and then again, other people's aren't. But again, he'd have to see it as a legal advisor, and that's why I had trouble with this particular version.
Thank you for hearing me. I just wanted to say we're getting into a legal place that I don't think we want to go down. So thanks for hearing me, and again, the other two...
Thank you for speaking for him, Ward. I appreciate it.
No further public at this time.
We'll get when we're done here. Sorry?
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Bill Rose. I live at 401 North Tremont Street, and I have a kind of a different angle on this. I'm not a restaurant owner. I'm not a bar owner. I'm one of the smokers. I'm actually one of the people that go to these places. I love small business, and I started a small business in North County about 25 years ago. Recently retired last year. So my job now is different. I don't have to go to work every day. My job is to support the local community. And you see me around town. I have a little 12-year-old poodle. Her name is Chanel. And Chanel and I go to all different places, right? We go into shops, restaurants, wood bars. And you know what's interesting to me is that there are a lot of places that I can't go with Chanel. I try to go in, and it's like, you can't go here, right? So other places where I can take Chanel, other places where I can go on the patio with my dog and get something to eat, and I can actually smoke. So it's kind of a home run for me. If I could get something to eat, a drink, take Chanel and smoke, right? This is pretty fabulous, right? But yet there's other places in the community that basically, smokers can go, but I smoke cigars. I don't smoke cigarettes. Right? I love to play golf and afterwards have a great cigar, or go with my buddies for a couple beers and have a cigar. You know, I mean, I don't see this enforcement is kind of interesting because we kind of shut all those places down. I couldn't even be able to go to the coffee shop, wish you know, sit outside and have a coffee and a couple puffs on a cigar, right? So one of the things that I loved about my small business was, this was a small business, it truly was. And I wasn't in the restaurant business, so I was in the tech business, but who cares what it was? The fact that I was the owner of my business, I was able to make my own decisions. I love that. I love that part. And that's why I kept going and going. I always traded in when I thought quality of life for high compensation. If I'd stayed back in the big company, I think I would have made more money. But what I loved about this was the ability to make decisions myself. Well, as I looked at this ban thing and this enforcement thing, I said to myself and to my wife, why are these guys doing this? It's already being done for you. Do you have any idea how hard it is to smoke a cigar in California, let alone in Oceanside? There are 3 places in town where you can actually go and smoke. So my feeling is, let the small business guys make their own decision. Let them run their business. Forces will take them into effect. Just like when I could take Chanel and I can't take Chanel, whatever, the same thing's going to happen with smoking. It's a controversial subject right now, right? It's going to create what I believe to be a lot of controversy and affect some of the small business owners now. I think we need to let them make that decision. Thanks.
No further public at this time.
Thank you very much. We'll get back to this and let the council speak. I already explained why I'm a little concerned about this. The reversion, the one that came in as the second option to be voted on last time, in my opinion, is flawed. That's my opinion. I would have voted for no smoking in any of them. So I don't want to hide. I wasn't in favor of it. But when they changed it, I think it was flawed. That's my opinion. I'll let the other council members talk and make their own decisions of what to do. I just worry about liability for the city. With that, Council Member Feline, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and hopefully we can work through this a little better than we did the last time. But
yes, I will.
Yeah. But yeah, it is certainly an issue that's controversial, and my feeling from the beginning was try to get the feedback from what I felt was the majority of the community, but also to get feedback from the businesses that would be specifically impacted. And, you know, and actually I was surprised that we didn't have much participation at the last meeting. So, you know, we're basically trying to create a solution, if you will, by trying to extrapolate a handful of opinions and trying to determine what the majority of the population and what the majority of the business community would like to support. And I think based on the feedback, you know, that we had at the time, we tried to craft a compromise based on the input that we were getting, and certainly based on you know, the opinions up here at the council. And there was certainly a concern of intruding on private property rights. I certainly feel that it's, you know, that we have as a city the right, if we choose to put restrictions on public property that we wouldn't request on private property if we choose to go that route. I think based on the input that we've had since then and based on the comments here, you know, I think a compromise requires broad support, and if there's not going to be broad support for the compromise, and of course the original maker of the original motion isn't here, maybe the time is to go back to square one and start over and see if there's a direction where we want to go, and just and certainly, you know, basically put the spectacle of the last couple meetings behind us, and everyone now knows that, you know, there are people who want to put in a smoking ban of some kind, and that we work through it, and if there can be a broad-based consensus and compromise on a solution, then maybe we can go forward, but I don't see that here now. So I'm not going to be supporting the existing compromise.
Councilmember Feller, please.
Thank you. I asked for a list of in the last few years how many smoking violations we've had, and I think we've issued maybe a total of somewhere around 300 smoking violations, and that's in parks and on our beaches. Pardon me. And I'm not sure who said it, but somebody said they've never been in my restaurant. And I would say, yeah, those people that were adamantly opposed to smoking were probably don't go in restaurants where they're smoking. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I had lunch at Rockin' Baja Lobster about a week and a half ago, and on the door says, if you're smoking, you better be on fire. You know, so there's unique ways of telling people, please don't smoke. But what hit me was this morning I was watching Pat Robertson on TV, and the more I think about it, the more I think we're heading down the road towards socialism. 80% of the people probably don't smoke, probably even more than that, but I don't think we should be telling them that they can't smoke. I also believe that people who are right now are non-smokers are not going to be a part of your restaurants, you know, if they feel that strongly about smoking. So I think it's a, you know, it is I don't smoke, so the few times I have, it's been one of those cigars, and I've usually been sick or smelled like 1,000 camels. Anyway, it is, you know, it's not something that I feel is my place to tell them. So I am going to completely reverse my course, and I don't want to be heading down that path towards socialism.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. For the council, I have no more lights on, so go ahead, sir.
There's no motion, so the matter will die.
Yes, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, the audience, I got to say this, it's probably going to come back to us and with a storm. It's not going away. You see more and more of the beach communities are going that way. No surprise, be aware of it. Thank you very much. One thing I didn't want to have happen is it pass and be totally flawed and cause the city problems. Good luck, thank you. Maybe we'll go down the road of each place deciding, but whatever. Have a good one. Sorry you were last on the list, but it's still fairly early. Anyhow, good night, be safe. Mr. Clerk, could we go back to the council reports?
Yes, Mayor Wood.
We'll hear a voice.
That was myself.
I'm sorry?
Mayor Wood, it's your turn for council reports.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. You lost me in the voice there. Was that God? A lot of stuff's already been covered by people here today saying what's coming up in the next few weeks. I don't know about the rest of the council, but I'm sure it's the same. This last week I've been so busy going through so many things I can't keep track. And that's expected this time of the year in the summer, but I mean everything from around the county to Oceanside to the Camp Pendleton. And I'm sure some of you have heard some of the gunfire and artillery fire on base. There's a big maneuvers out there, big maneuvers. Councilmember Feline and I went out there the other day to visit for the Marine Corps amphibious landing, and there was at least 9 foreign countries there in uniform observing what's going on, and it was pretty impressive. The uniforms I've never seen before, and insignias I've never seen before, but there were people there from just roughly Canada, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, New Zealand, Australia, Singapore, and others I couldn't keep track. They were all watching this event, and that's why we're having all the artillery fire out there. They're international training out there. Other than that, the things we've talked about with the 4th of July and I think they've been covered. But I also want to wish our financial director, Carrie Farrell, the best in her up-and-coming retirement, and welcome our income director until there's a permanent replacement. Everybody should enjoy the 4th of July, and 125 years going to be celebrated on July the 3rd. The one thing I did like about that presentation is Tri-City Medical Center is cooking up and providing 1,125 cupcakes for that event, and I want to thank them in advance. Fireworks at El Corazon on that day, and then later on the 12th annual Yankee Doodle Dinghy Parade that would happen at Oceanside Harbor on the 4th of July at 1 p.m. And let's see, we have over 150 vendors participating in the Star Spangled Sunset Market. So there's plenty for everybody to do, and I'm sure the council will be bumping into each other, going to all these that seem to be designated at the same time all over the city. So anyhow, be safe. That's a big one. Enjoy yourself and have a great holiday season. God bless all of you. That's all I have.
Deputy Mayor Kern.
Luigi, if you can come out and put the slide up on the screen. I don't know if you can hear me back there, but as he's coming out, there he is. There's Luigi. Just a couple things. Some of the OPAC people really wanted me to mention about the event at the 1st Marine Division Band coming Saturday night. Mr. City Manager, don't go away. I need you to speak for here a second. So anyway, the idea that they're going to come in and perform at 5 o'clock. So right now I'm going to turn a little bit of my time over to the City Manager to have him comment on the picture on the screen, since he went back to Annapolis with our police chief to welcome our police department.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. If you recall, the Race Across America starts here in Oceanside, and it's a continual race that goes from here and ends in Annapolis, Maryland. They do the solo riders, where for the last, I believe, 29 years, the record was held by our local resident, Pete Penseers. That record for solo riders was broken this year. The person actually sits on a bike for anywhere from 6 to 9 days to go cross country, and this was the first year that Oceanside actually had a team that participated in that race, made up primarily of Oceanside police officers, and there was one firefighter as well on the team. They started out on, I believe it was on Saturday morning, and then they finished, the police chief and I flew back to Annapolis where they're finished. They finished at about 1:30 in the morning, Friday night, early Saturday morning.
And congratulations to them. They came in third. They came in third, which is pretty good for the first try to do that. A couple other things. Boys and Girls Club renovation is done. If anybody has a chance or opportunity to see all that work, and the Boys and Girls Club really do that. Actually, Friday, Councilmember Feline and I are going to be back out on the base with a contingent of state legislatures touring the base and talking to the base commander about issues out at the base. And also what we're going to do is be taking the new principal of Stewart Mesa out on the base. The new principal of the elementary school out on the base. I think some of you know him as Justin Kern. He's the new principal at Stewart Mesa, so he's going to go out there and talk to them. And again, I would like to second the mayor's speaking about thanking Carrie Farrell for all the work she has done here as our finance director. It has not been an easy time the last few years with the finance director, and I know she's worked very closely with the city manager and keeping on top of our finances in this kind of free fall economy. It's very, very difficult to do. And lastly, I want to thank Mr. Knott for accompanying me up to the Metropolitan Water District to talk against the rate increases for Metropolitan is handing down to the rest of the bus. They're actually going to go forward with a 5% rate increase, even though they have $75 million over their maximum allowable, or their maximum reserve. So we have a $500 million in reserve now, where they've actually capped it at 450 instead of giving that extra $75 million back to the public. They're going to spend it. And then the other thing is they were supposed to reduce some of the property tax rate structure, and they decided to keep all the money for themselves. So the good news is San Diego County Water Authority is just looking at a 3.6% rate increase. So they're going to absorb some of that cost increase and not pass the full 5% on from Metropolitan Water District. So with that, we'll just keep fighting the good fight, and maybe one of these days we'll win. Thank you.
Councilor Pauline.
First, I too will mention congratulations to Terry Farrell and wish her the best in her future plans. I've always enjoyed working with her. And there were a couple items, since we didn't get to do council reports at the last meeting. I did want to point out at the Del Mar Fair media party that your humble councilman bungee jumped 125 feet, showing that I'm ready to do anything, so if it's free. So they finally made it free, and I was ready to do it, so I did it. Wanted to thank Vance for putting together the Memorial Day celebration, and I had a chance to go to the Eternal Hills celebration that evening, and I wanted to give a shout out to Troop 752, who, as long as I've been in Oceanside, has been providing the luminaries and placing flags on the veterans' graves at Eternal Hills since I've been an Oceanside resident, and my sons have participated in that project as Boy Scouts in the troop, and I thank them for doing that project. Had the opportunity to attend the Pacific View Charter School graduation ceremony, and the Military Appreciation Day that we had on May 18th is a great project by the Chamber of Commerce to recognize the service of our military members, and it's, I think, just one of the benefits of living in a military town that we think enough of our servicemen to put together that kind of project, and I'm always proud to participate. As the mayor mentioned, participated in reviewing the exercise Dawn Blitz, interesting name. And the other interesting thing is in terms of government running amok. I had the opportunity to go up on Wednesday, June 19th, for the San Diego Regional Water Authority, where they were reviewing the toll road. And as one of the Oceanside commuters back in my past who had to commute up to Orange County, and the distance that involves, anything that would help relieve traffic on I-5 would be a benefit to our community and our families, and allow working members to spend more time with their families. And yet we have a board that's more interested in pandering to extreme fringes, so they turned down a length of road that basically was being built in the interior of Orange County, nowhere near the coast, to pander to environmental extremists who simply don't care about the impact of their decisions on average families. And I went up there to fight for the people who are earning a living and paying the bills, and wanted to point that out. On Thursday, June 13th, we had a topping out ceremony at our new hotel that's being built by Ryan Companies, and that was a great progress event. And with the hotel opening up at the beginning of next year, it'll be a great addition to our economy. So it was great to mark that milestone. I also had the privilege of attending the Oceanside High School graduation down in the amphitheater, and as someone pointed out, boy, that has to be the best place in the world to have a graduation ceremony. And it was like right on cue. An entire flock of pelicans flew over in formation, providing an aerial review, and I just don't think you'd have that in any other graduation ceremony in the world. And also dropped by the Phil American Culture Day that we had here at the Civic Center, and that's an annual event we have. It shows the diversity of our community. Attended the Martin Luther King Scholarship winners at the reception that they had a couple weeks ago, and that was great. And also on the good news, attended the ceremony for the beginning of construction for the Carlsbad desalinization plant. So that's a great milestone to break the stranglehold of the Metropolitan Water District on our supplies. And as Councilman Kern outlined, that's something we need to do as much as possible because we're at the end of a very long line and we're not being treated very well. So the Carlsbad desalinization is kind of like a shot of independence and great project. Thank you.
Councilor Feller.
Thank you. I attended almost everything you were talking about except Dawn Blitz, and I was having Dawn Blitz of my own with 4 of my grandkids as their parents were taking Justin Williams off to college up at UC Davis. And he's in college and doing his weight training now for football for next year, and I already miss him. We had the concert in Park, the Surfaris. We got another one the end of July, and it's the Mardells. And it was the most well-attended concert that we've had in the park, so it was pretty busy. I did go to the Oceanside all-class reunion, and honoring that class was, they were the honoring class of 63 for 50 years, and that is Jim Schroeder, who was here earlier, and Lloyd Prosser were 2 of the people that I recognized in that group. We have, I do want to commend Terry Farrell for a great commitment to Oceanside, and I hope she has a great retirement. Tomorrow afternoon, evening, 5 to 7, we have Oceanside Transit Center Platform Improvement Project, which is another rail that will allow trains to pass within our terminal area. So it's if you want to know about it, it's 5:30 to 7:30 tomorrow. We have birthdays coming up. Justin had his 18th. Bunny's is July 3rd, so I thought I'd get her this fireworks celebration as a present. I don't think that's gonna fly though. She's not that interested in the fireworks. Amy and Harvey and Jared all have birthday parties, but the biggest deal going on right now is Caleb and Noah are Little League All-Stars, and All-Stars are having their big kickoff this Saturday. So it'll be a busy time for us going back and forth. So maybe we got Little League World Series in our future with one of our All-Star teams. So. And that's all I have. And I do want to congratulate all the graduates that graduated both El Camino and Oceanside. Thanks.
That's it. Did we miss anything there, Mr. Clerk?
No.
Thank you. With that, I'll adjourn us to Wednesday, August the 7th, 2 p.m. at this location. Good night, have a good week, and be safe.
I'm just fine. No, that's perfect.
Yeah.
I know, but it's a pretty